All right, looks like we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Radical Democracy Podcast. I'm your host, Kamali Rose, and I am pretty excited to bring you some good news on the electoral politics front, where, as you can see from the title by now, Cori Bush from Missouri's 1st District has defeated Lacy Clay Jr. in what is a pretty stunning comeback upset victory. The multiple major news outlets had actually already called the election for Lacy Clay Jr. and then had to come back out and retract and apologize. And essentially, he had gotten a lot of the early mail-in and absentee ballot voting had come in his favor. But as the in-person, the day of votes started to roll in, Cori Bush really pulled ahead. And this was, I try to stay, temper my excitement in electoral politics as a leftist, but as a socialist, really. But this is a big one, and I've been a supporter of Cori Bush's going back to her 2018 run against Lacy Clay Jr., where she lost by a narrow margin, actually, and has been on his radar for a while now. Cori Bush is a longtime Ferguson activist. She was out there in Ferguson. She's been pepper sprayed and rubber bulleted, and she's an OG, and I really love this one. This is up there with AOC, Jamal Bowman. This is right up there with those kind of wins. She is an instant member of the squad. Not my favorite term, trust me, but she is one of them. She was in that movie. If you caught it, I actually haven't watched it yet. Even though I did support it was a grassroots independent film team that did it, and it was like crowdsourced. So I think it's called Bringing Down the House or Knocking Down the House, with AOC, Cori Bush, Paula Jean Swearingen, and Amy Vilela from Nevada, who is another great. So these are, Cori Bush is a strong Medicare for all vote, strong Green New Deal vote, strong, $15 minimum wage tied to inflation. I remember when AOC won, she actually shamed MSNBC into bringing Cori Bush on back in 2018. And it helped propel Cori Bush even further, got her some national attention, mainstream attention that she hadn't garnered before necessarily, especially in the wake of that AOC upset victory. That was just something that sent shockwaves through the mainstream media. And so this was a fun one. This was an exciting one. So I'm just going to read quickly from this Intercept article. This is by Ryan Grimm, great author. If you're not already reading the Intercept, definitely do it. Great outlet, great left-wing news outlet. So it says, down goes Clay. Cori Bush knocks off half-century dynasty. Yeah, that's something else I should point out, and I'm sure they'll mention it here, but Lacy Clay Jr. is the son of Laci Clay, who was the former incumbent, and so it went from father to son. And his father was in Congress for 30 years straight, and then he's held the seat for 20 years straight now, 19 years, but at the end of the year, by the time when Cori Bush is inaugurated, it'll be 20 years. And keep in mind, yes, this is a primary election here, but this is a strong Democratic district. There's no doubt about it. Cori Bush is going to Congress. Whoever the Democrat is that wins the primary, that's who goes to Congress in this district. So Cori Bush is going to Congress. And so here we are. Cori Bush's defeat over 19-year incumbent Representative Lacy Clay in St. Louis, Missouri is Justice Democrats' latest upset. In an upset that will rock the House. In an upset that will rock the House Democratic Caucus, Ferguson activist Cori Bush on Tuesday unseated Representative Laci Clay, whose family has represented the St. Louis area congressional district for more than 50 years. Clay dominated Bush among mail-in and absentee ballots, leading some outlets to prematurely call the race. But Bush surged back with a commanding Election Day lead, narrowly topping Clay by 3 points when all were counted. Bush was among the original Justice Democrat recruits in 2018, but lost her first challenge by 20 points. Okay, so I apologize. It was a 20-point difference. I forgot. That's actually true. It wasn't as narrow a lead as I said. It was actually a pretty commanding lead, 20 points. It was still considered, mind you, at the time it was considered a really great showing for Cori Bush. So that is true. This was considered a really great, strong showing for her. Even losing by 20 was considered strong because of the machine that's machine politics there is establishment power there, and so you're talking about somebody with very little funding, grassroots funding, no name recognition, and activists coming up out of the Ferguson protests and now taking down what is a 50-year incumbency essentially. And so, a registered nurse and pastor, she made a second run this cycle, again with the backing of Justice Democrats, the progressive group best known for recruiting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It is historic that this year, of all the years, we are sending a Black, working class, single mother who's been fighting for Black lives since Ferguson all the way to the halls of Congress, Bush said in a victory speech. Yes, Cori, dope. Bush's win follows the upset of veteran representative Eliot Engel at the hands of Jamal Bowman in New York, and longtime Representative Daniel Lipinski in Illinois, who fell to Marie Newman. Justice Democrats also supported a challenge against Representative Henry Cuellar, who narrowly fended off Jessica Cisneros in Texas. You can see Cori Bush tweeting out here, "Not me, us." Yes, I love it. Yes, that's beautiful. Just to go a little further, because this is great. Ryan Grimm is awesome because he can really contextualize this stuff. He follows Democratic establishment and progressive politics very closely. He is a historian of the Democratic Party and can really, and he has a left-wing perspective and take on it. And so he's just a great resource when trying to contextualize these sort of victories. I actually got a tear in my eye right now. This is exciting. I know I'm a leftist, but these things excite me still. I still got a soft spot for some of these folks in electoral politics that are, strong. She's not a socialist. She's a social democrat, but a strong social democrat who is just clearly in what would be considered globally centrist, but in America, it is a strong left-wing candidate, all right? So if you're from my international audience, please don't make fun of me for being excited about centrism here, because I know this is global centrism. Globally, this is just centrist politics, social democracy. But here in America, this is considered radical left-wing stuff here. So yeah, just, giving every human being health care and believing that housing is a human right. She is a strong advocate for housing as a human right. Those things are considered just absolutely radical here. So yeah, this is where we are. All right, so Bush's win is monumental in a number of ways. So this is Ryan Grimm continuing. Unlike Bowman, she did not have the luxury of an opponent who fled his district and told a hot mic that he only wanted to speak at a Black Lives Matter rally because he had a primary to worry about. When Engel lost to Bowman, an anonymous Democrat argued to the New York Post that his loss was a fluke and tied to his race and his lack of energy in office. It doesn't show AOC's power. It shows that New York voters want demographic changes in the House. The Democrat was quoted saying, "They don't want old white guys who don't do anything. Not only old white guys, but old white guys who only work when they're up for re-election. People are punishing these kinds of lawmakers. If you're old, white, and lazy, you're going to get kicked out." So this is where it's important now. So Clay, however, is not old. He just turned 64, a decade younger than Engel, white or lazy. So he's not old, white, or lazy. Clay did Clay did not remotely take Bush for granted, launching a full-scale negative campaign to try to take her down, and has been focused on her as a threat since her loss to him in 2018. He is a fixture of the community, and he and his father, Bill Clay Sr., a civil rights activist and co-founder of the Congressional Black Caucus, have continuously held the seat since the 1960s. 1960s, folks, okay? This is crazy stuff, all right? This is like... these machines, you don't see. Oh, this is beautiful stuff. All right, so, all right, so he goes on. I'll just keep going from Ryan Grimm's article here. It's too good. Clay's defeat is also ominous for incumbent Democrats, as he was hammered at home by an outside anti-monopoly group for his work with the financial industry to undo an Obama-era piece of Wall Street reform. The group, Fight Corporate Monopolies, spent $90,000 airing the attack ad, causing pain for Clay on the type of issue that rarely leaves the Beltway. It was doubly ominous given that it came from nowhere, and the new group, which had only previously spent against Massachusetts Rep. Richie Neal, does not disclose its donor. So that's that. Not a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I don't love dark money in politics. That doesn't excite me there, but it's good context to have, and that these things do have impact. It's a 3-point margin that she won by ultimately. So every little thing counts at that point. Every volunteer, every phone call that was made, every donation that was made, those things all did their part to propel her to victory. So if you donated, if you volunteered, if you shared an article or a tweet of hers, you contributed in some way to this win. So you should feel good right now. And I know some leftists will get on me about, being overly excited about electoral politics and trying to work within the system. But I do believe in an inside-outside strategy, working from both within the system and outside the system, pushing in both directions to try to enact change, and affect change. So I think this is absolutely a victory for the left, and we have to count our blessings and just make sure that we're really celebrating our victories. So when they happen, so this is a fun one. This is a good one because it's an impactful one. It's a meaningful one. This is really, and it's a surprise. I mean, it was called against her, and now she just, I know it's not in elections, I mean, the votes were cast, but it feels like a comeback. We thought she had been counted out, and she came back to win it in the end. So let me just pop over. I'll just show you the live results. We have 100% of precincts reporting, but sometimes it'll say 100% of precincts reporting, but there will still be absentee ballots and some late ballots rolling in slowly. But at this point, it's not going to be 3% of the vote coming in. So this has been called now for Cori Bush now. So you can see here, Cori Bush got 72,812 votes, which amounted to 48.6% of the vote. William Laci Clay only picked up 68,201, and that was 45.5% of the vote. And then there was another person running, Catherine Bruckner, and she picked up 8,796 votes. So 6% of the vote, about 6%, 5.9%. So yeah, I'll have to look up more. I honestly, I don't know much about Catherine Bruckner at all. So I'll have to look up more on her to see what her politics were, to see where she would have been pulling votes from. Let me quickly look her up. Oh, no, sorry. Let me pull her up. Yeah, we'll pull it up right here. Yeah, let's just see what she... give me your oh, come on. No. All right. I just want to see if I could pull up her candidate page and see what her issues were, but I'm not seeing her candidate page. She's kind of in the shadow. So all right, I'll do some research on Catherine Bruckner and try to figure out where she was pulling votes from to see if that would have been a positive impact for Cori Bush ultimately, or if she just kind of was a her own sort of candidate. and didn't really affect it. So another cool thing to note, this is another really important one and something that definitely should also be getting talked about, is that Missouri as a state also had a ballot initiative on Medicaid expansion, a Medicaid expansion amendment. So this is so I'll just read from it. Missouri voters are deciding whether to expand Medicaid eligibility under the Affordable Care Act, which could extend health coverage to as many as 217,000 low-income people. And they voted yes. So it won by about a 6% margin, 53 to 46.7. And yeah, now they will be expanding Medicaid. And so you can see even a place like Missouri, you know, they talk about like, oh, coastal elites. And no, we're talking about the Midwest. And across the country, progressive, when you poll people on the issues across the board, people are more progressive. People are more left wing on the issues in this country than what they identify as politically. And so it is no surprise to me that a Medicaid expansion passes. I'm going to do a video soon on the recent polling from Hill Harris X that they polled on Medicare for All, asked, do you support or oppose providing Medicare to every single American, was essentially the question. And 67% supported it and only, 33% opposed. So that is, an overwhelming majority. 2/3 of Americans believe that we should be providing Medicare for all. 2/3 of Americans believe that, yet. And if this was a real democracy, if 2/3 of the country were in favor of a policy, of a public policy, that policy would pass in a democracy. Unfortunately, what we're living in is not a real democracy. And so even, people can go and, lose their heads over, oh, it's a republic, not a democracy. Look at what a republic is. It's supposed to be through a democracy, through representation, representational democracy, right? So democracy, right? So but that's not what we have, because we have a system that allows in this country, through things like Citizens United, that allow unlimited campaign spending and essentially legalized bribery in this country. So what is illegal in most other countries is pathetically legal in this country, and we have a lot of bought and paid for politicians that do not represent the people. They represent their donor class. Cori Bush is 100% funded by the people. She is a Justice Democrat, which means she takes no corporate PAC money. She raises her money one small donor at a time and that's the thing. Everybody represents their donor. Everybody does the bidding of their donors, right? So that's true of every congressperson. They are all going to do the bidding of their donors. And so to get a politician you can trust, their donors have to be the people. It has to be the masses of people. That's the only way this thing works. And so Cori Bush, this is a really monumental win for Cori Bush, because it just really shakes things up. It adds another, this is essentially what we did what they did in 2018. They did this again now in 2020. And it's not just one victory, but we're talking about Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Cori Bush now. I think I'm blanking on one more person. Oh, we had such a close win almost against Amy McGrath. I'm spacing on his name right now. I can't believe. Charles Booker. Charles Booker almost beat Amy McGrath. I mean, I feel like he beat her, but whatever, So these are big wins, and we should celebrate these wins. And when I woke up to this news, and this was really exciting news, because I love Cori Bush. She's awesome. It's that's a strong Black woman right there, who is a American leftist, but again, globally centrist, but American left wing, and somebody that is not going to, she's going to go into Congress and she's going to make noise for us. And this is another guaranteed vote for Medicare for all, for a Green New Deal, for all those policies that come with that. And again, she is amenable to socialism. This is what I would say as a socialist to other socialists looking at this is, no, it's not she doesn't right now have a language around things like democracy in the workplace necessarily, but she is 100% amenable to those sorts of policies. And so we have to push where we can to get people like that into power, because this, if we can weaken the system of capitalism from within it. I think we can weaken it. We can't completely overthrow it or destroy it. I think that we overthrow capitalism by doing what folks like Cooperation Jackson are doing, where it's democratic workplaces, building democracy in the workplace, one person, one vote on all major decisions. You teach people, you let people practice democracy where they spend the majority of their adult lives, where the majority of adults spend the majority of their lives, their waking lives, 8-10 hours a day in the workplace and traveling back and forth to work. And so if you teach people to practice democracy there in the workplace, they will then get a taste of it, as Richard Wolff says, and they'll learn how to practice democracy in their political system as well. And so essentially whatever system you set up in your economy appears to then seep its way into your political system. So however you set up your economy is essentially how your politics are going to be structured. So we've set up our economy with these top-down capitalist, hierarchical structures where a handful of people called the board of directors have all the control, all the say over everything. They get to make all the decisions, what you do, where you do it, what's done with the profits of your labor. They make all those decisions, and look where it's gotten us. Look where that system has gotten us. We're in the midst of a global pandemic where our GDP just contracted by 9.5 over. It was, I believe, about 10%, just quarter to quarter, but it annualized. If you annualize that, saying, okay, what happens if this continues? If this trend continues for an entire year, that's a 35% contraction, which is, this is annualized. This is the worst GDP contraction in the history of the United States, meaning that our economy has just shrunk. We're less output of the economy, less goods being bought, less services being rendered, less products being manufactured, essentially. And so we are, this was mass unemployment, 15% plus unemployment. Some people say the unofficial numbers were over 20%, nearing Great Depression levels of 25%. And so, and it wasn't necessary. There are places in Europe right now. Germany they went from 5% to 6% unemployment because of having systems in place to protect people. So this was an unavoidable situation, but a situation we're in nonetheless. And so, we got some comments here. Looks like Ben 2K is in the house. What's up, Ben? Glad to see you. Appreciate you being here. Let me just read these comments here. Ben 2K says, good for the left that she got in. Wasn't that election called for the other one already, or am I getting this wrong? You are absolutely correct, Ben. They called it for Lacy Clay Jr. and then a bunch of folks, the decision desk, I think that's NBC's decision desk, had in a bunch of major outlets had to retract and come back out and apologize for calling the race too early. Lacy Clay Jr. had gotten a lot of the mail-in votes, and absentee ballots had come in his favor. So the early vote was in his favor. But then as the day of vote started to roll in, it was so overwhelming in Cori Bush's favor that she roared back to this upset victory. And yeah, she is absolutely headed to Congress. So yeah, no, you're not wrong about that at all. They called it for Lacy Clay Jr. And it was kind of a bummer when they did, but this was an awesome surprise here to wake up to. So really cool. Ben 2K also says, should have been Booker. Mitch will beat Amy, I'm sure. 100%. No question about it. Guaranteed. She's already down by 17 points right now. So if folks aren't familiar, Charles Booker was running against Amy McGrath in the Democratic primary for Kentucky's Senate race against Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell, he needs no introduction. The dude's a monster. And he's the the leader of the Republicans in the Senate. And he's the guy who blocked Obama's Supreme Court justice pick of Merrick Garland. That was his doing. He was very proud of that. He calls himself the Grim Reaper of Congress, I believe. He called himself the Grim Reaper. And the dude is just, he's evil. He's just evil incarnate. The dude, he's a extreme right winger who his whole mission is to pack the courts with conservative right wing judges. Really not conservative, because conservative, these people aren't conservative. They're just false. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry, folks. Little technical difficulties there. Might just gotta stop playing with that cord. Sorry. All right. So yeah, Lacy. What was I going on about? Oh yeah, the Booker, Charles Booker in Michigan. Yeah. In Kentucky. Yeah, Mitch McConnell's a monster. The dude. We need to take him out of Congress, and our best bet to do that was Charles Booker. I think that he, it was gonna be a difficult race no matter what. It was gonna be a hard race, but he was the only one who had a chance. He was an activist. He was out there in the midst of the George Floyd protests, while Amy McGrath was sitting at home talking about how she didn't think the protests were a great idea because she didn't she didn't think the protests were a great idea because COVID-19 and people. I've been to protests. I've been to protests, and I've been out in public during this pandemic for other reasons, just get food and things like that. I'll tell you, the protests are the place where I saw the most careful people, every single person wearing a mask, being considerate of others, trying to stay socially distanced as best they can. It's in open air. The thing is, for a protest, you're protesting in a situation where things aren't good, where things are gotten to the point where they're so bad that you have to go out in the streets and fight for change that way. And so you're under conditions where it's not like you can just say, oh, okay, for your safety, just everyone stay inside, because the problem was the issue was we're not safe already. We're not safe. Black folks aren't safe in this country. Every time we have an interaction with police, I've experienced that. Every black person in this country, pretty much, I don't care what your status is in life, you have to be of the highest class. Of course, there's a class dynamic there, but even when you're even when you reach a certain class, you see folks like that professor, I forget that went, Henry Louis Gates from Harvard, the professor that was like trying to get into his house and somebody called the cops on him. This is a Harvard professor, and dude ended up getting like slammed and arrested and assaulted by cops. And like every black person pretty much has a story of how cops have disrespected them, ended up, instead of like de-escalating a situation, they escalate everything. They push and prod and assault, harass. That's what cops are in this country. I strongly believe in the defund the police movement. I'm all about, I'm in favor of abolishing the police, but what does that mean? We can get into it. We can have a conversation about that. Obviously, I'm in favor of something like, we got to have some system by which we handle folks like violent criminals, but we should handle it in a way that's based around rehabilitation instead of just punishment and penalizing people. It can't just be about that. It has to be about rehabilitation so that we can incorporate these people back into society. But in this country, we don't do that. That's why we have the highest recidivism rate in the entire world. Recidivism is when you leave jail, you're returning back, your odds of going back. So if you have a high recidivism rate, it means people are coming out of jail and then a lot of them are going back to jail. So that means something's not being done while they're there to deter them from coming back. And so in an effective way, it's just all about punishment and violence inside of these prison systems right now. And we can do better than that. So I don't believe that police need to be handling anything for nonviolent offenses, anything tied to drugs. Drugs should be decriminalized entirely. And so, yeah, we could get into, I have a whole policy platform written out. I was thinking about running for Congress at one point. So, and maybe I'm not past it, but I'm just trying to fight for change in whatever way we can. And so, yeah, Mitch McConnell is terrible, and Amy McGrath is not going to beat him. And so she's just she's literally running as Amy McGrath in Kentucky is running as a pro-Trump Democrat. Like, this is what are we talking about? And this is the problem with any old blue will do, these vote blue no matter who Democrats. Like, you can't vote blue no matter who. You have to have some sort of principles, right? You have to have some sort of principles. And so these people, and the Amy McGraths of the world, I'm not going to vote for a Democrat, and I'm not going to support a Democrat that's a pro-Trump Democrat. Like, we only have a limited amount of energy and money and resources to spend, essentially, and I'm not going to do that on on somebody that I don't believe in what they, I don't believe they'll be there to help me. They're going to be there to help donors and apparently help Trump with Amy McGrath. So we got another comment. Minali says, and I remember she said she would have considered Kavanaugh. Yes, that was Amy McGrath. That was the same Amy McGrath who said that she would have voted for Kavanaugh. Like, as if that's such a layup right there. Like, all you have to do is just say you wouldn't, like, just say you wouldn't. You're a Democrat, one. So, like, this dude is a far right winger, first off, but beyond being the far right winger, which is like, he's like anti Roe v. Wade type, like, he is a far right winger. Right-wing extremist. You look, just do a quick search of him. They've written articles about this guy. But so not only is he a right-wing extremist, but he's also a rapist, as far as I'm concerned. For lawyer's sake, and so that I don't get sued, allegedly he's a rapist. The dude's a rapist, and we all saw what went down in those proceedings. And yeah, it's just like, and this woman, Amy McGrath, said that she would have voted in favor of this dude. So what's the point? These people, nobody's going to be excited in Kentucky to go out and vote for your standard fare. If you're a Republican, you're not going to vote for her when you have a more Republican in Mitch McConnell. You're not going to go vote for Amy McGrath if you want to vote right wing, you go vote for Mitch McConnell. And so it's just, who is her base? Who is she playing to? I honestly truly believe that people like Amy McGrath are paid to lose in the Democratic Party. I believe that she is paid to lose. She's a Chuck Schumer, supported Chuck Schumer back candidate who, Chuck Schumer came out in support of her running against, there's all about identity politics in the Democratic Party, and like, there's a black person running, and you come out in support of, Amy McGrath and against this black activist, Charles Booker. Ben 2K, let me just throw, Ben 2K says, why isn't Amy a Republican then? Is really trying to outflank Mitch on the right? That doesn't make any sense at all. Exactly. Like, what are you try, you're not going to outflank him on the right. I'm sorry, the dude is one of the most extreme right wingers. You're literally trying to play this like centrist card, but from attacking him from the right. With Trump, she would be like a pro-Trump Democrat. She'd be the most pro-Trump Democrat. Like that. Like, who's that playing to? Mind you, Kentucky had just voted out their governor, who I'm forgetting his name. I think, is it Bevins that lost? Because Andy Beshear, I think, is the new governor, and I think he beat out Matt Bevins. And I think that, no, I don't think that. I know that the reason that he beat him was because Matt Bevin, I believe that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Matt Bevin that he beat. He beat because Matt Bevin came out and talked shit about the teachers union when the teachers were striking. He tried to literally come out and say that the teachers were responsible for any, like, he tried to accuse the teachers of getting the children like molested. I kid you not. He was like, children are going to be molested and it's your fault, teachers, because the teachers were out there demanding more supplies, more funding for the schools, and also to be paid enough so that they didn't have to work extra jobs and be too tired to pay attention and give the students their full, attention and care that they need. I mean, these are young students that they were caring for. So he came out and spoke out against teachers and in the teachers union when, Kentucky was they led those strikes, that a successful teacher strike. And I think that again, I could be mixing Kentucky and I think there was a strike in Virginia or West Virginia, where they weren't a union. These were teachers striking, non-union, I believe, who did this. They did it against the union's approval. The union voted against it, the union leadership, but the union membership was like, fuck you, we're still going, we're gonna do our thing, sorry, we're gonna get, we're striking because we care, and so this is these are labor movements, this is left-wing labor movements. And so the idea that you're running in Kentucky as some right-winger, as if the people actually are strong right-wingers, is just goofy, it's silly, it's naughty, it's just it makes no sense, and she's playing to a base that doesn't exist. So that's Amy McGrath for you. Ben 2K says, I don't get the points of this candidates, don't get for which base she is running. Exactly, she's a veteran, right? Yep, she's I believe Army vet, but definitely military veteran, absolutely. She's a veteran, right? Did she think that would be enough? Yep, kind of need to read a little into her platform. I'm not well informed on her. I mean, good luck trying. She doesn't really have a platform, dude. She doesn't have a platform. Let me quickly, let me just see if I can pull up Amy McGrath. Sorry, McGrath on the issues. Sorry, I don't touch type too well. She has no platform. Amy's stance is on the issues. I believe healthcare should be affordable and accessible to all Americans. In the same way that basic education is the foundation of a strong country, healthcare affects our nation's competitiveness and security. It's stop undermining the Affordable Care Act. Bipartisan solutions for America's healthcare. Bipartisan. The Republicans want you to have no healthcare. So bipartisan solution means meeting somewhere in the middle. Maybe half of the people get healthcare. What do you mean a bipartisan solution? Do you see any Republicans coming out talking about bipartisanship? What Republicans do you see talking about bipartisanship? Republicans come out in their strong in their screwed up beliefs, and they're like, no, we want to take away your damn healthcare, and we want you to have nothing, and that's that. And we're gonna fight to, what did they say? Appeal Obamacare, repeal and replace. That was it. Repeal and replace Obamacare. They weren't playing game. They came in and they tried to repeal that shit and not replace it with anything. What are you talking about bipartisan? There's no I consider this negotiating with terrorists, as far as I'm concerned. Noam Chomsky has said that the Republican Party doesn't even, they've gone off the political spectrum at this point. The Republican Party, they are off the political spectrum at this point. These are extremists. You're negotiating with these extremists, and they are terrorists. They want to terrorize poor and working class people in this country, and so. Yeah, so this is her on healthcare, public option, Medicare buy-in, lower prescription drug costs. How about we have no prescription drug costs? How about that prescription drugs are covered under an improved Medicare for all plan that Bernie Sanders provided? This isn't a Republican here. This is a Democrat's plan right here. The public option, are you kidding me? That's what Obama went to into office with, an offer of a public option. And what happened? What's his stupid face? What's his name? Oh, I'm blanking on it right now. I can't believe I'm blanking on this dude's name right now. This dude completely shut it down. Oh, Jesus Christ. One congressman. He switched to being a Republican after being a Democrat. Can't believe I'm spacing on his name. If anybody remembers his name, let me know. Chip in to support Amy my ass. But this is her. And then she talks about the opioid crisis. But again, a way to solve the opioid crisis is by providing Medicare for all. And more importantly, also decriminalize and stop treating drug addiction like a crime and start treating it like a health issue, which is what it is. And so she says, you'll notice she says nothing here about decriminalizing drugs. So yeah, this is, just weak stuff, and really the things that, she's going in with an already compromised, just these it's these people that don't support changing anything to protect the Affordable Care Act. Stop undermining Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act deserves to be undermined. It left 20 million Americans uninsured. What kind of health care for all plan is one where 20 million, and of course which 20 million people it's going to be. It's going to be the 20 million most desperate people in the country are going to be the ones, and that's 20 million uninsured. There's also an additional like 50 million who are underinsured at least, who what that means is that your insurance doesn't actually cover the care that you need. So you're still paying out of pocket. 500,000 Americans go bankrupt because of medical debt. Each year, 500,000 people have to file for bankruptcy because of medical debt. And you're talking about under the Affordable Care Act, and you're talking about defend this damn thing. Like, what's that do? You leave people unprotected, and so that's what we get. But Joe Lieberman, thank you, Meanly. Meanly says Joe Lieberman. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Meanly, but thank you so much. Joe Lieberman was the congressperson who shut down the public option for Obamacare. So one Democrat, just a Democrat, just like Amy McGrath will be, just like what's that dude, what is wrong with me, Joe Manchin in West Virginia, who Paula Jean Swearengin is running against, or sorry, she's not running against him this year, she ran against him in 2018. I was a big supporter of hers. Unfortunately, she lost, but she's running again in 2020 against that. There's a woman who's the other senator for that state, so for West Virginia, and big supporter of Paula Jean Swearengin. If you aren't supporting her already, please go and do so. Throw her a few bucks if you can. Hopefully she could win. If she could, she would be another strong vote in the Senate, another strong Medicare for all vote, Green New Deal vote. So yeah, this is Amy McGrath, and these are the kinds of folks that these, Pelosi and Schumer, these are the kinds of people that they end up backing. These people that are coming to the table with an already compromised position. You don't go to negotiations with your position already compromised. If you're already compromising, then you're only going to go to further compromise from there. So we should really be starting this conversation, not with a Medicare for all, if for on the left. Leftists should be talking about, at least nationalizing the healthcare system the way that the UK does, have a national health service. That would be a further left-wing position. I consider the furthest left-wing position to be a nationalized healthcare system, but one in which all of the, nationally funded, but democratically owned and operated hospitals, let the patients and the staff there all have a say, and the folks in the community. So wherever those hospitals are, I think that those stakeholders should have to get together and agree to these changes, instead of having like these hospital administration boards. And a lot of these hospitals are for profit, and the right wingers will point to the fact that like, oh, hospitals are the problem, but really the insurance, it's both the insurance and these capitalist hospitals that literally are like profit incentives, have profit motives and profit incentives. So Meanly says it's the right pronunciation. Awesome. Thank you so much, Meanly. And thank you for being here. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, do me a huge favor and hit the like button down below and subscribe. If you're watching this on your phone, you just got to close out the chat, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell if it's not, if it doesn't bother you, hit that bell to receive notifications anytime we go live or launch a new video. And yeah, I really appreciate the support. If you can afford it, huge favor to ask here. If you can afford it, do me a favor, head over to my Patreon. Thank you so much to Ben2K, who signed up for the Patreon in the last stream. I thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. If you can afford it, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/radical democracy. Drop me a few bucks, whatever you can afford. I really appreciate it. It's to help this thing keep going and growing. And I really hope to bring people in, build a democratic workplace, start overthrowing capitalism one small worker cooperative at a time. I do believe it's possible, but only, of course, with your support and your help. And so I really appreciate it. If you can afford it, do me that favor. Really appreciate it. But again, only if you can afford it. So thank you so much, folks, for being here. Thank you to whoever just liked, Meanly says Obama would have done a lot more things if he wasn't so attached to bipartisanship during his time in office. Yeah, of course, he went in there compromising, and he was a big person, that touted the bipartisanship. I forget his famous quote about, where he was saying like, oh, Republicans, if you get them all in a room, like they're reasonable people, and we're just like, he had this like, let's all just go get a beer, and he literally had something called the beer summit. He did a beer summit with Republicans, and nothing came of it. Like, he tried everything. If bipartisanship worked, it would have worked under Obama. If bipartisanship was possible in this political climate that we exist in now, if bipartisanship, and let me tell you when bipartisanship happened. Whenever bipartisanship does occur in Congress, it's because the Democrats and the Republicans get together to help their shared corporate donors. That's the only time. Whenever it's pro-corporate legislation, that's when bipartisanship happens. So if you're seeing bipartisanship, I forget who says it. Maybe it's Jank, maybe it's somebody else, but they say if you hear the word bipartisanship, hold on to your wallet, because they're coming for it. Like, they're coming for you. So don't that bipartisanship, if it would have worked, it would have worked under Obama, because that dude was all about bipartisanship. But let's be real, like, they don't, that means these are all corporate backed, both Republicans and Democrats. And so where we could see some bipartisanship is like if you watch Rising, on the Hill's Rising with Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty, I think that's where you could see some bipartisanship that would actually work in favor of working class people. But it would be, under the veil of, the new right-wing populists, who I think is a very small contingency on the right, much smaller than left-wing populists who actually are about helping the masses of people. But that's my, I think that's where you see bipartisanship in the Congress right now, is just only when it's in favor of corporations. So let me get off of this thing so we don't gotta look at any more of Amy McGrath. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we'll just keep this up. No, I like this picture of Cori better. Yeah, strong. It's my sister Cori right there. I love it. So Ben 2K says, I think so. He got grinded down by the machine in DC fast. Yeah, I think so. But I also, I I voted for Obama twice, but I was still consider myself a sort of centrist at that point. I was not developed in my political ideology. What I really was pretty apolitical at that point. So I was a 2-time Obama voter, and I was fairly apolitical. I was in school at the time and just couldn't pay enough attention to politics. And so I was fairly apolitical. I would say things like socially liberal but fiscally conservative nonsense like that, like I would say, but didn't know what those things meant. But I honestly think that Obama, his ideology is neoliberalism. He's neoliberal. He believes in capitalism. He's a strong, advocate for capitalism. That's what he believes in. And so when neoliberalism is your ideology, you're going to produce exactly what Obama produced, which is drone bombing a bunch of brown people, but doing it in a technologically savvy way. That's what the Democrats will do. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Like, Republicans just want to bomb these people to, the, like, whatever they say, like back into the whatever, but the Stone Age, like, bomb them back into the Stone Age. But that's what Republicans want. And Democrats want to bomb them back into the Stone Age, but with new cool technology, drones, instead of like doing it with like actual, like, sending people over there. But like, these indiscriminate drones that blow up, kill civilians and destroy, black and brown people in their cities and their livelihoods over in places that we can't even point to on a map. And you'll get a whole bunch of that. You'll get the deporter in chief. These are the things that will be produced out of neoliberal ideology. And honestly, I think that having a Democrat often in office gives cover to a lot of these things. When somebody like Trump is in office, and I'm strongly anti-Trump. I voted for Hillary in 2016 in the general, and I went out and even campaigned for her against him. It was really campaigning against him because I was I felt threatened by his, presidency. As a black person and just as a working class person in general. And so I, certainly am I'm, definitely anti-Trump in that way. But I do think that when you have a neoliberal, when you have a Democrat in office, that it gives cover to some of this stuff, because a lot of people sort of check out. I know a lot of people that when Joe Biden wins the presidency, because Donald Trump has just lost this completely. He's done. Like he with his response to COVID-19 and this Great Depression that he's accelerated us into. I think that he's done. It's over for him. But so Joe Biden will almost certainly be our next president. And I think that I know people who are going to just check out and think, okay, well, we're all good now. Trump's not the president anymore. So I guess everything's cool now. And we don't need to worry about resisting anymore, because this is like the resistance, folks that are just like, they just want, I know a set of people that just want to be essentially just to check out. They just don't want to have to worry. They don't want to have to engage in stuff. They get upset every time Trump tweets something, but they're not upset that 500,000, at least 500,000, at least 550,000. Sorry. 660,000. I apologize. You can look up those numbers. That's the real number. At least 660,000 Americans are homeless right now. I think the number is much closer to 1 million, because we know homeless people are being undercounted. And so we have probably 1 million homeless people in in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And you have a lot of people that aren't concerned about that, but they're concerned about what Donald Trump is tweeting out. And so I just don't have a lot of love for those sorts of folks. And so I think that Obama did what he was going to do as a neoliberal, and we sort of should have expected what we got with him, really, is what it is. So read some more comments here. Ben 2K says, have you heard Nina Turner's Biden quote? Like something along the lines of, voting for Biden is like eating half of a plate of shit. Trump is the full plate. I love Nina Turner. And by the way, I know I mentioned it last time, but I'm gonna mention it again every time her name gets mentioned. Nina Turner follows me on Twitter, and I am deeply proud of that. It was one of my proudest moments. I love me some Nina Turner. So love me some Sister Nina Turner. And that is a beautiful quote that I think hits the nail on the head. It is perfection. It's like, oh man, yeah, exactly. It's just like, Biden is half a plate of shit. And I don't want either. I just don't want either. I don't want to eat shit. So I'm personally going to be voting third party for sure. I'm either voting for Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker, a black woman, for vice president in the Green Party, or I'm going to be voting for Jeff Mackler of the Socialist Party. I think it's Socialist something party, but Socialist Party or Socialist Worker Party. And I would do the Green Party vote with Howie Hawkins. On policy, we're very closely aligned. On policy and strategy, I'm much more closely aligned with Jeff Mackler, who's a socialist, and just, I believe but he's not just some like far out, leftist that doesn't, like they would like say like, you're not being pragmatic. No, he still says like any victory, even a small victory for the left is still a victory, and that we have to take whatever we can get. But he does believe in much strong, moving to a nationalized healthcare system. He believes in, supporting democracy in the workplace and work cooperatives, and he's really strong. He has really strong language about anti-capitalist and really strong anti-capitalist rhetoric. And so I am much more closely ideologically aligned with the Jeff Mackler. And so I will, I'm just, that's, and I vote in Massachusetts. My vote doesn't really matter, sadly, because of the Electoral College and how that works, that it's a blue state. Democrats will win the state. And so whoever the Democratic candidate is will get all the electoral votes from Massachusetts. So, that's our ridiculous Electoral College system. They call this democracy. I don't know how they can call this democracy. Just note how convoluted our system is. That convolution is there in order to obfuscate, to make it so that you the average voter who is a working class person who is just struggling to make ends meet. 78% of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck. People do not have time to engage in politics the way that, me as like a political nerd, a political like junkie, like I'm consuming this stuff every day. But most people don't have the time for it. I know what it's like. I was one of those folks. And so I just know, most average folks just don't have the time to deal with this stuff. And so you can't be fully informed on this stuff in that way. And so, yeah, let me keep going through the comments here. Ben2K says, I kind of feel sorry for Americans. So often you can't vote for what you believe in, but have to choose the lesser of two evils 80% of the time. Yeah, it's a gross. The two-party system is just a really screwed up system. I think the only way we'll ever overthrow the two-party system in this country is by implementing a ranked choice voting. If you're not supporting ranked choice voting somewhere, do it, please. Ranked choice voting. Try to, if look locally, if you're American, look locally, see if there's any kind of movement for ranked choice voting. We have an amendment that is going to be a ballot initiative in Massachusetts. So if you're in Massachusetts, please vote in favor of ranked choice voting in the next election. You should absolutely be supporting that. I'm going to do a video soon on like Massachusetts politics. Most of you probably won't be interested, but I'm going to do a video just on like how I'm going to be voting in the November elections here in Massachusetts. And I'll talk about the ballot initiatives and like what we can do there. So that'll be cool. Everyone that's here, thank you so much for being here. I will get back to that, but please do me a favor. If you haven't already, hit the like button below. I think it's like somewhere like right over here. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to receive notifications. If it's not too annoying for you, it will let you know whenever we go live or launch a new video. So really appreciate it. So yeah, I feel sorry for Americans too, even as an American, I feel sorry for us. It's a really terrible system. We could have a parliamentary style system, I think would be much better. Those clearly show that there's room for more parties. I do not belong in the same party as Joe Biden. I do not want to be there. I do not belong there. Nobody that I associate with closely belongs in a party with Joe Biden. AOC and Joe Biden shouldn't be in the same party. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden shouldn't be in the same party. We need some distinction between that. And honestly, I probably wouldn't be in a party with Bernie if there was, if we had some better distinction. There would be a socialist party. And I don't think Bernie's a full-on socialist. I think he's a social democrat. He's not a socialist. He's not out here espousing strong anti-capitalist rhetoric. He does have some anti-capitalist rhetoric, but it's not strong, and it's not in the same way that I look. His socialism that he talks about is more of a 20th century style sort of what they would call authoritarian socialism, but I don't even think he's trying to be authoritarian. It's more social democracy. That's why I don't even think it's socialism. It's just the socialism where you have really heavy government regulation on capitalism. So that's his form of socialism. Mine is democracy in the workplace, building democracy in the workplace and all of our institutions, our housing, anything that we consider like a human right. We should have democracy in those institutions. And so thank you so much to whoever just dropped me the next like. I really appreciate that. Also, if you can afford it, it goes a really long way. If you can afford it, please check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description box below. At the bottom of the description box below, there's a link to it. It's patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. And I will so greatly appreciate it if you're able to throw me a few bucks. It goes so far. This is you'll see we got $16 pledged so far. My goal is to get to $100 by the end of August. I don't know how reasonable that is, but that's my goal. I haven't announced that I'm even doing this to most people that I know. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up a lot of support from folks that know me and are close to me. I was just trying to kind of get it built up before I made the big announcement to the folks closest to me. But I appreciate your support. If you can afford it, it really goes a long way and it means a lot, and it'll keep this channel going and growing. So if you can afford to drop me a few bucks over on Patreon, patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. I got to keep begging you for money because it's the only way that I'm going to be able to keep doing this. Right now, I'm unemployed and I'm waiting to start school in the fall to finish up my degree that I never finished up because I've just been unemployed. I'm like, what am I going to do? And finding work is hard. And so I'm just like, I might as well get to school. So I'm going to be taking courses in the fall semester, and I'll still be doing the podcast throughout that, but things will get a little tighter. But just not having to work throughout it will help. And and my goal is to try to make this, get enough support by the end of the year that I won't have to go back to programming again and being in the tech industry, because it's a horrible, terrible place for leftists. So, all right, let me read some more comments. Let me get through some more of these comments. Ben2K says, hard enough to get people in Europe into politics, and we got like way more options party wise. Wow, that's wild. So yeah, that's cool to know. Like, I love having Ben in these chats, because we get a really cool, for folks that don't know, Ben's from Germany, so he's our German correspondent here on Radical Democracy. And so, yeah, it's always awesome talking to Ben and getting that perspective on European politics and German politics. If you don't follow along with German politics, it's totally understandable in America, because most Americans don't know that a world exists outside of America, sadly. But I should pull up this awesome map that my buddy showed me yesterday about like what Americans think about, like, it's like the map of the world, and like what Americans think about each section, how we perceive each section of the map. But yeah, that's cool to know that even with all those choices, people are still not as politically involved, and like people, and that's like relative, because like here it's even more distant and disengaged, and people are really disconnected from things like labor movements and left-wing movements in this country as well, because they just haven't happened recently. We haven't had a strong labor movement in about 100 years, and where 30% of people used to be part of labor unions at the peak, it's now 10% of people, and most of them are in public positions. So just getting through some more of these comments. Thank you so much, Ben, for chatting. I love that we did this stream early so that Ben can be here. Ben2K says, dangerous to call the election now. People thought the same with Hillary. Very true. And, Nina Turner has come out recently. Michael Moore has come out recently saying those same things. So I don't take that lightly. Those are folks that I trust. I believe I will defer to them on a lot of things, electoral politics, because they know it. They've lived this stuff. Nina Turner is a state representative. She's, run, campaigned, and then she's been the, a co-chair of Bernie Sanders' campaign for years. She ran Our Revolution. She understands the, politics, and so I trust her on something like this. And so when she says, be wary, Biden's not completely in the clear yet, I believe that. I don't think it's a layup. There's still things that they call like black swan and white swan events, which are these events in politics where like things will just happen in like late, and like something will come out, or a story, oppo research, or something will drop, and it'll just be so monumental. Or, Joe Biden, anything can happen with Biden, anything can happen with that dude, because I don't think he's got his full cognitive abilities, at this stage. I think he's in cognitive decline, a really sharp, rapid cognitive decline. And I'm not like some psychologist, and I can't diagnose him, but go look at Joe Biden. Go look at a Joe Biden debate from 2000, and you can look at him debating in, when did he do? 2012. I think he debated Paul Ryan in 2012. You can look at that debate and see how sharp that dude was. Like, the dude was sharp back then. That was just 8 years ago. I think there's a video of him in 2016, where you can see he's much sharper. This dude is, in a really short amount of time, he has really declined rapidly. So I think he's in a fairly rapid cognitive decline. And so nothing is safe for Joe Biden. And so I totally agree with you there, Ben. It is dangerous to call it now, and I should be a little bit more careful in saying that, and really caveat that, because it's Joe Biden, and the dude right now, he's winning literally by just not existing, like just by disappearing. This will be the first time I think that a candidate would win on a strategy of literally just being not there. Like, the dude is nowhere to be found. He's not doing anything. He's not campaigning on. We know exactly what we're going to get with this dude, which is nothing. His slogan is like "Build Back Better," which is literally like the Democratic version of Make America Great Again. Everybody before that, they were saying like, oh, we should, or what was it? Return to normalcy was a phrase you keep on hearing over and over. We need a return to normalcy. Joe Biden is a return to normalcy. Who the hell wants to go back to the normal of pre-COVID-19? Remember that normalcy, what that was, that old normal led us to this moment, right? It led us into Trump. It led us into this. It led us into Trump. It led us into a pandemic where we had the worst response in the entire world, really. We're you can put us on par with folks like Brazil, who's run by a far right, a fascist. I mean, Jair Bolsonaro is a straight up, actual, true to life fascist. And so we're there like competing with fascists for how poorly we treat our people in our society. And so, I definitely think Ben's got a great point there. Great point. Thank you for bringing that up, Ben. It is very dangerous to call it now, considering that it's Joe Biden and the dude is just winning on default right now, on just like the default of being like Obama's buddy and, being not Trump, essentially. That's what he's winning on, is being not Trump. And that's it. Like, people are voting for not Trump. That's it. No policy, nothing. And so that's not a hopeful message to spread. And so that is a very weak base to be holding, and anything can happen. I mean, it's Trump's election to lose, really. It's whatever Trump does. If he came out here and if they just had a halfway decent response, they literally can just give away money to people right now. And it's the easiest thing to do. And it's going to do two things. It's going to actually save the economy, because our economy, and you can go, not right now, don't do it right now, but after this stream is over, check out my stream from yesterday. Or sorry, 2 days ago that I did, and it's titled "Make America Great Depression Again." It's episode 4, I believe, of the podcast. And you'll see I talk about this, and these are the kinds of things like this. What Trump's response to this thing has been so pathetic, and you just have a chance to just give away money. You can give away money that's not yours. You don't have to use your own campaign funds. You can just literally give away government money to people to keep the economy going. It will keep the economy going, and it will buy him votes. Essentially, people will be like, oh, well, Trump took care of me, so I'm going to vote for my buddy, for Trump again. Sorry, I shouldn't do that thing when I say that, but like, because people all over vote for Trump. It's not just like in the South or anything like that. Okay. Ben says, in a swing state, I'd probably go for Biden, but if I lived in the U.S. my whole life and have to do this every time, I would check out of politics as well. Yeah, that's the thing, dude. I voted for Hillary. Like, I did that. I did that. I was a good soldier for the Democratic Party for my entire voting life, and that's what I was like. I'm a black person, so I just have to go do that pretty much, because it's like, oh, Democratic Party, black people. I mean, the other people want to destroy me, so I got to go vote for these people, right? But then you look and you try to, and once you actually have the time to dig in, which is a privilege, I admit it's a total privilege to be able to dig into this stuff and study politics in this way, is like, you realize that the Democratic Party is not in our favor. They are not there, for working class people. They used to be the party that was, at least nominally representing working class people, but that's dissipated. And now we have just two parties that are at the whim of the large corporations, essentially, and the wealthiest people in society. And so, yeah, I got sick of it. I got sick of just giving away my vote to people that literally don't give they don't give, like George Carlin said, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They don't care about me. They don't care about me, a working class person. They don't give a fuck that, I can be fired from I've been fired from, I've worked in the tech industry. I've had 4 jobs. The first one, the company went out of business while I was working there. It was an internship when I was in college. And then the next 3 jobs I was fired from. The last 2 were for what I consider to be discriminatory reasons. And essentially because I spoke out against, white liberalism, and I made people uncomfortable, and I spoke out against things like systemic racism and sexism in the workplace, and a week later, at both jobs, I found myself fired and without a job a week after speaking out about social and economic justice issues. So that's what they do to you, and that's what happens with at-will employment. And these people are totally in favor of those sorts of things. That's capitalism for you. You get a handful of people that get to just decide that they can just kick somebody out, at their whim. Oh, you upset the boss, you upset the CEO, and I worked in small startups, so I was working side by side with these folks. And so you piss them off, and it's like, peace, you're done, your job's over. And they love to talk about like risk and entrepreneurs risking, they take all the risk, and it's like, no, you take a risk every day you show up to your job at an at-will employment, place. Whenever you exist and you're the employee and you have an employer, you are taking a risk every single day you go into your job. You're risking whether or not you're going to have that job by the end of the day. You don't know that. So, and look what happened to 50 million Americans just now. With the snap of a finger, 50 million people have now been thrown out of their jobs, and at least half of those jobs, they say, aren't coming back. So that's permanent job loss for a lot of people. And this is where we are. So let me try to get through some more of these comments, because we're getting a lot of comments in. So I want to read through all of these. So Ben says, yeah, and so about the swing state thing, yes, I used to, if I were in a swing state, I would certainly think more carefully, but I think that even then, honestly, I truly believe that even in a swing state, I would be voting for somebody that actually upheld my values, because I'm just done with this. And if everybody thought that way, if everybody thought the way that I did here, then we could win. We could that party, that third party could win. But it's just everybody doing this collective, thinking of like, I have to vote for this party, or else I'm risking that scarier person winning, and that's what they're gonna do. They'll just threaten us with the scariest Republican, and all they have to do is just get a really awful person to run as Republican, and then they can get you to vote for essentially a Republican, a moderate Republican, as a Democrat. Like Joe Biden should be running under the Republican Party. That dude is a Republican. He believes he's for cutting Social Security. He's against Medicare for all. He's against defunding the police. He's against a Green New Deal. What is this dude in favor of? He's only nominally supported Fight for 15, the $15 minimum wage. This dude doesn't believe in anything that the Democratic base believes in. Go poll on these issues. Go right down the line and poll on those issues. You get in that recent Hill-Harris X poll, 87% of Democrats supported a Medicare for all, supported providing Medicare to every single American. 87%. But Joe Biden doesn't support that. He doesn't just not support that, he's against it. 87% of the base believes in that and supports that, and this dude is rejecting it. Tell me, how is he representing you? We're literally, they just got us so scared of Trump. It's like, oh, Trump's so scary. But if you truly believe like I do that he's not a cause of this issue, but just a symptom of capitalism, then you would have the same outlook that I have, that Biden's just another type of capitalist that honestly could do just as much damage. And honestly, I believe Biden has done more damage to Black and brown communities than Trump has even. And if you give me a second, I mean, he voted in favor of the Iraq war and was a strong supporter of the Iraq war. Joe Biden was so strongly supported the Iraq war that killed at least 1 million brown people over in Iraq. He supported the Afghanistan war. He led the charge on the 1994 crime bill that passed under Bill Clinton. So Democrats all working together to pass the 1994 crime bill that did things like did 3 strikes laws and mandatory minimums that have created the mass incarceration problem. And it was a way for them to implement to get slave labor. They wanted cheap labor, right? They had cheap labor building up this country, black bodies, cheap labor, free labor through slavery, right? And they wanted to continue that cheap labor. And so what do? They use that 13th Amendment, right? That says that, slavery is outlawed in America, except for, here, let me quickly pull up for you. I think they'll let me read it. Okay. It says, Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Can you fucking believe this? I'm sorry, but I'm about to cuss. Can you fucking believe this? That we got a section of our fucking Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, right? This is the Constitution of America that all people fucking swear by, right? And we got a fucking section of this thing that says slavery is outlawed except as a punishment for fucking crime. So it says, oh no, slavery's still fucking legal in this country. As long as you become a prisoner, you now can be a slave. And oh, surprise, surprise, we have disproportionately black people and brown people as those fucking slaves, right? You think that that's a mistake, man? You think that that's a fucking mistake? Like, this is my country right here, right? And this is what I'm supposed to be supporting, man. Like, this is fucking crazy. So this is what they use. They use this shit to lock a bunch of black and brown people up so they can get free fucking labor. And then people are out here running around mad at immigrants talking about, they took our jobs. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you know who's taking your jobs? The slaves that they have, doing slave labor in California. They use those slaves, under Kamala Harris as Attorney General. They were using those slaves to fight fires and put their lives on the risk, put their lives on the line, fighting fires. Well, guess what? That takes away a job from an actual fucking firefighter, which is not only a good paying job, but also a fucking union job, right? And they take that away and they give that to a fucking slave in jail, right? And tell them to do that work. So, excuse me if I get a little upset during this, but this is slavery hasn't ended in the U.S. We still have it, and it's through the 13th Amendment here, and it's for prisoners. And so people like Joe Biden and these Democrats, they did this to us, and they did this to black and brown communities, and then they want to turn around and say, you have to vote for us. You either vote for us or you're going to get this other monster over here who's not just going to do this shit, but he's going to do it, laugh about it, and fucking throw it in your face, right? So that's our choices. You either get somebody who's going to do the fucked up shit and do it quietly, or you can get somebody who's going to do the same fucked up shit but do it loudly and in your fucking face. And sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'd rather the person, I'd rather the devil I know than the devil I don't, right? Like, I want to know. I'm sorry, my mic is clipping because I'm screaming right now, but I want to know, and Martin Luther King said something similar to this in his letter from a Birmingham jail. Yeah, let's pull that up. Let's pull up MLK. All right, so okay, here it goes. He says, first, I must confess. So let me show you where I'm reading from over here. First, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizens counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. Okay, so what is he saying there is that I'd rather have these people that it's much more bewildering. It's hard to cope with this idea of this lukewarm acceptance, versus just these Republicans and these right wingers who are just like, no, fuck you, and I'll wear it on my sleeve, and I'll let you know that I'm overtly racist, and I'm not gonna hide it from you and sneak it in and do all these fucked up policies that are going to damage your communities. Well, that's what Biden is. And I get really fucking angry when people sit there and tell me that I got to go vote for Biden because if I don't vote for Biden, I'm voting for Trump. And that kind of bullshit just gets me riled up. So don't play those. Somebody want to drop a comment like that in these comments, you'll get me going, like, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry to yell and stuff, but this stuff gets me riled up, because this is what we're told over and over again with this voting for the lesser of two evils bullshit. There's still two evil. They're still both evil. So why the fuck? And it completely ignores the fact that there's a third non-evil, and let's not play that game. And there was Bernie Sanders in the damn primary, who I was out there campaigning for, driving up to New Hampshire to knock on people's doors and be told all kinds of shit, but also see support and stuff from a lot of people, but also get told all kinds of bullshit from right wingers that I ask, you knock on their door and they're telling you all kinds of sideways shit. Go back to Massachusetts where you came from and yada yada yada. I had told to me, but yeah, no, I tried everything I could to get Bernie Sanders elected. I was donating $50 a month to him while I was unemployed. I had a $50 a month recurring donation to him. I mean, I did everything I could. I volunteered. I made calls. I knocked on doors. I got my friends, encouraged my friends to go out and donate and volunteer. And I mean, we did everything we could to try to get somebody that was, cared about people elected. And so to turn around and tell me that I'm like, supporting Trump or something by not supporting Biden is the biggest bullshit line I've ever heard in my life. So that's how I feel about that, and that voting for the lesser of two evils garbage. Like, it's not happening. I'm done with it. I'm 33 years old. I've been voting for the lesser of two evils for essentially half of my life now. I've been voting for the lesser of two evils, and it's gotten me nothing but unemployment and misery, and stuck in this STEM education where they emphasize STEM over humanities, and because they don't want people to be fucking humane is the problem. So sorry, my little rant about that was not directed at you, Ben, at all. By the way, that's not directed at you, Ben. That's just literally just me going off on. I recently had to deal with people on Twitter talking this nonsense about like, oh, you're not voting for Biden, so I guess that means you're voting for Trump. And just like, they have no concept. Like, if why can't the Trump people say the same thing? Oh, a vote, not voting for Trump is a vote for Biden. You see, the logic just doesn't work out. So if I'm not voting for either of them, that means it's not a vote for either of them. That's how voting works, people. Okay, so let me just be clear. But yeah, and that's not directed towards you, Ben, at all. It's just a topic that I'm clearly sensitive to. So Ben says, I feel kind of bad spamming the chat. Talk, guys. Thank you, Ben. Good encouragement. I love Ben. See, that's my EU correspondent there. I love it. Elijah, Elijah7987 says he used to be. So I think that's in response to, I'm not sure exactly what that's in response to. Please let me know what you say that's in response to. I'm going to jump way ahead real quick, but then I'm going to go back. I just saw that Carlos Jeffers just dropped a comment saying another squad member. Yes, Carlos, another squad member is beautiful. She's an instant, just an instant member of the squad. I don't love the term the squad, but I love who they are. I love Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and AOC is amazing. You'll see all my photo, my Twitter bio and stuff. You'll see that I got a picture of her from before her primary win against Joe Crowley. I met AOC at a fundraiser where I was supporting her from the moment that I heard that she was running. I was donating. I donated hundreds of dollars to her campaign and was out there making phone calls. She was the first politician I ever made a phone call for, was AOC. So that was and I was calling into another state, and it felt awkward, but I got somebody to agree to go out and vote who wasn't going to vote, and it was the best feeling I ever had. One of the best feelings I ever had. And so if you haven't already volunteered for a campaign before, and that's if that's where you are, try it out. It's really it can be, it's not all every call isn't going to be amazing, but when you get a good call and you talk to somebody who this person didn't know about this candidate or didn't know about the issues that they were campaigning on, and you can inform them and get them excited to go vote for somebody that's going to really help them, it's a good feeling. And yeah, electoral politics has those sort of little instant gratification kind of things sometimes. So it's something that I do, I wish it was more effective, to be honest. It can be, but it's slow. It can be effective, but it's a slow moving process. So it can be just a little draining at times, but definitely also very encouraging, and just to be out there and talking to your neighbors or talking to whoever, knocking on doors and making calls. It can be really, really fun. So going back in the chat, someone says he used to be, and then Ben2K says Bernie. Ben 2K says, ha, I like that title. Probably don't deserve it. You definitely deserve it. All right. You're my EU correspondent. Mina Lee says, I really don't understand why a lot of these Democrats are not all forcefully for Medicare for all. It is very popular nationwide. Like, I'll tell you why. I understand perfectly, and it's really sad and frustrating to know, but it's because a lot of those Democrats are not elected because they have, mass, grassroots support. It's not because it's because they have very large donors to their campaign that can essentially buy elections through just flooding the airwaves and lawn signs. After a while, I used to vote this way. I swear, I'm not even kidding you. I would see who had the most lawn signs around and who had the most supporters and stuff, and then I would go into the booth and I would be like, oh, I recognize that name. I've seen that name a lot around me. That must mean that they're a good candidate because I see a lot of people supporting them. Or I see a lot of signs or heard a lot of ads about them. Not really seen a lot of people supporting them, but I've seen a lot of signs or I've heard a lot of ads about them. And so I would go vote for that person. And so it wasn't based on the policies or anything like that. These people are being voted in by being, having elections purchased in their favor, essentially, because you can buy elections, sadly, in the US. And so a lot of these people they just buy their way in, and they don't support these policies, and they don't, there's only think about that. 87% of Democrats support Medicare for all. The national, the people, the 87% of the Democratic base supports this, but just that handful of people in Congress, those 535 members of Congress, it's those people that are the ones that are so adamantly overwhelmingly against it. So you have people actively fighting against it. So this is what it is. This is what the Democratic Party has given us. It's just it's a lot of folks that are not there because the people want them there, because the people think they support their issues, but rather they're just the more, the one that had the more money that could put more signs and buy more ad space on the airwaves. And so that's who people end up voting for. So just getting through some more comments here. We got Meanly says, and with COVID, people now realize how ridiculous it is to have your health insurance tied to your job. Yeah, no, absolutely. Although here's a surprising statistic. Since even in the midst of COVID, July 2020, there was actually slightly higher support for Medicare for all back in July of 2018. So 2 years ago, there was actually more support for Medicare for all. Why? And don't feel bad about that if you're a Medicare for all supporter. It just means that, listen, 2 years ago, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies and those folks, they were fighting against it, but they didn't take it as seriously. And so they weren't fighting as hard. They weren't spending all their money to come and do propaganda against it. I mean, you have Democratic people in the Democratic primary that were running, that were like that Bennett dude that was speaking out against it. And you had folks that were just obfuscating and making it this Medicare for all who want it, and they confuse. And so even with all of those tactics, with all the scare tactics they used, with all of that, it still has 2/3 support. So that's the way to really look at it. Yes, it's 2 points down. It's shifted 2 points in the other direction. It went from 63%. I'm sorry. 67% to 65. It was 69%. And now it's 67%. But that's still it's still really good numbers. And I mean, that's overwhelming support. And that's even after all of the attacks they've done over the past 2 years during this primary election for presidential election. There has been constant attack against Medicare for all. They've tried to come out with study after study. I mean, the Mercator came out with a study that was a right-wing study that really tried to obscure the facts, even though the end conclusion of it was that Medicare for all would actually save us trillions of dollars. Even when the right-wing, paid research, even then they still found that it was Medicare for all would save money. And not only does it save us money, but it saves us money and it provides healthcare to every single person. We live in a backwards society that will not allow that to happen. I mean, it's economically the better option, and it's just socially and morally the better option. But this is how a system can be corrupted. This is how corrupted our political system is, that even then, and even with overwhelming popular support, this legislation doesn't pass. There's this graph that I'm not going to pull up right now, but there's a graph that shows that like and this isn't it. Don't pay attention to what I just pulled up. Oh, you guys can't even see what I got up. I'll do my split screen so you can see the results of the election in case you're wondering. These are the live results, and I'll keep those live results up for Cori Bush just in case of anything. But yeah, you for sure. Let me keep flowing through here on the comments because I really want to get to. There's a bunch of comments here, so. Yeah, Ben 2K says that's what I don't get as well. Isn't it polling at like 60+%? And then Meanly says close to 70%. Exactly, it's close to 70%. And with Democrats, it's 87% of Democrats. So in the Democratic Party, 87% of representatives, you should have 80% of support in the House. You should have passed with overwhelming support a Medicare for All bill, but it just doesn't. It doesn't. So that's what we're faced with is a truly corrupted political system. Just rotten. Ben 2K says with both with both Republican and Dems together, or just Dems. So close to 70% with Republicans and Dems together. Republicans, Democrats, and Independents all together nationally. Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. 67%. I should pull it up, but 67%. Let me see if I can just pull. When's this article from? 69%. Okay, this is from back in April, unfortunately. This was April 24th, but this was 69% back in April. It's now at 67%. It's dropped a tiny bit since then, which is weird because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and they did another poll that said, due to the pandemic, are you more likely or less likely to support Medicare for All? And people came out and said, well, I'm more likely to support it because of the pandemic going on. So, and it's absolutely clear. We had a pandemic that threw 50 million people out of their jobs and over 30 million people off of their healthcare. And mind you, those people have dependents on that healthcare. So they think it was about 50 million Americans who were impacted by that, who lost health insurance in the middle of a global pandemic. If that's not a backward system that makes no sense to you, then I don't know what is. It couldn't be any clearer. So, right. So Ben 2K says prison system as well. How can something like that can be for profit? I mean, why? Exactly. Why do we have for-profit prison systems? You put the profit motive in anything. And literally what happened, you had lobbyists come in that would come in and lobby for stronger criminal legislation. So they would criminalize things and try to criminalize more behavior. Why? Because it is profitable for them. Of course, they have an incentive there to create more laws that are more punishing, mandatory minimums, keep people in jail as long as possible, get more bodies in jail and keep them there as long as possible. So the incentive is all there. And now what's happening, and you'll see that a lot of the incentive has moved now to doing not imprisoning people, but turning your home into a prison by doing like those like ankle bracelets, and they let you stay at home. So they want to off-put some of the costs, right? And this is just capitalism, capitalism going capitalism, right? And it's like, we're going to offset the cost of like having to house you because we don't have the facilities anymore. So we'll just jail you in your own home, and then we can make money off of all of the technology that you need to track people and stuff. So now there's all this tracking software and stuff that they're building to now track people that are on these ankle bracelets and things like that. And now there's a big push from lobbyists to lobby for those because they put the incentive there. They put a profit motive there, and it's gross. It's disgusting. They should absolutely abolish all for-profit prisons. Immediately should be abolished. And the only chance we had for things like that was under a Bernie Sanders presidency, or just by overthrowing this damn system and building these things up from within. If we can build democratic institutions, we can do what they did in Mondragon. And I mean, Mondragon started as a 5-person worker cooperative making, I forget what product they were making, some small product, and then it's now grown into over 100,000 people, and they're like the 4th largest business in Spain, and they have their own university and their own bank, and you can set your own laws at that point. They have their own city essentially in the Basque region of Spain. and they essentially have built their own city, and you can then democratically do things like vote on things like policing and what kind of policing you want in your community and those sorts of things. In America, black people are both over policed and under policed. They over police us in the sense of stop and frisk, broken windows policies, and then they under police us in the sense of like not investigating crimes against like black folks and brown folks and indigenous folks. They don't investigate those crimes, and they those just become largely ignored. As black trans women, they don't investigate these crimes seriously. And so that we're both over policed and under policed in this country. They've managed to pull off somehow. So Meanly says Republicans and Dems. Yes, exactly. Yep. And independents. Exactly, Meanly. Thank you. Meanly's my new statistics correspondent, because Meanly is dropping some knowledge too. And I appreciate that. Thank you for following up on that and providing that info there for folks. So yes, it is Republicans, Democrats, and independents all together. So Ben 2K says, okay, what the fuck? Who can Biden be against? How can Biden be against it then? Exactly. It's just like, he is who he is, and he's stuck in his ways, and there's no convincing him otherwise. And they can do all these different, what do they do? Like task forces that Bernie Sanders agreed to. Like that stuff ain't doing nothing. Like Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk, great show. Check it out if you don't already watch, which I'm sure you do. He talked about it and was saying that like what he would have liked to see was like two things. Either Biden agrees to make Nina Turner his vice president, which I would have then voted for him if he made Nina Turner his vice president. Why? Because Biden's vice president will most likely be the next Democratic nominee in 2024. It is almost a guarantee that whoever Biden picks as his vice president is highly likely to be the next Democratic nominee. So if it were Nina Turner, we would at least have an actual, progressive woman in place to take up that mantle. Now we're just going to get the most corporatist. I mean, he's selecting from a bunch of cops, playing identity politics with this, like, I'm going to pick a woman or I'm going to pick a black woman. Listen, when they do that and they play identity politics, do not fall for it if that intrigues you in any way. I fell for it with Obama. I thought, oh, I'm voting for the first black president. Isn't that great? And then I just checked out, was like, oh, we got a black president. Peace. I'm all set. I don't care about what he does. And I didn't pay attention when he was drone bombing. I didn't speak out against him. And there's a great Lupe Fiasco line where he's like, in his song Words I Never Said, I believe, he's like, Limbaugh is a racist, Glenn Beck is a racist, Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit. That's why I ain't vote for him. Next one either. I'm a part of the problem. My problem is I'm peaceful and I believe in the people. And that is a beautiful Lupe line right there. And he just said it, Gaza Strip was getting bombed. Obama didn't say shit, and then he don't care when Palestinians, lives are being destroyed by, Israeli apartheid state. Like, he's not speaking out, and I wasn't paying attention to that stuff when I should have been, because I now have an internationalist socialist perspective where, every human life is as valuable as the next. And we have to operate on that paradigm. And so let me read some more of these comments. Yep, I already caught that. So Meanly says, I sincerely don't know and don't understand. Yeah, I'm right with you, Meanly. I sincerely do not know and do not understand why Joe Biden, how he's so adamantly against stuff. No, stop. I do understand. I do understand. He's literally, Joe Biden used to be called the senator from MBNA, which is one of the, they got bought up by Bank of America, but they were this large credit card agency. And so he used to be called the senator from MBNA. He's from Delaware, and Delaware, mind you, is the corporate state. I've started a company before. I started in out of college. I won my university's business launch competition, and they helped me start a company. So they put me in touch with corporate lawyers, and without, just understanding anything, much about economics, they put me in touch with these corporate lawyers, and they had us incorporate a business. And the way that we incorporated our business was as a S corporation, and we incorporated in Delaware, even though we live in Massachusetts, and I've never been to Delaware, and I have no reason to go to Delaware, and I have no business in Delaware. Well, literally, I had a business in Delaware, but I had no personal business in Delaware. We incorporate in Delaware. Why? Because I was told by the lawyer, the laws there are the most corporate friendly laws there. So those were the best laws for us as a corporation to go to. And you can check it out where it's nimblenotes.com. It's just like learning software. It's an online note-taking and study platform. Lets you take notes and then click a button and instantly generate decks of flashcards. I'm a software engineer by profession. So nimblenotes.com if you want to check out what I used to do. And I still do. I mean, I'm technically the CEO of it, but we run it democratically, and we don't, it's not like a big corporation or anything like that. Very small business. But we do, we have students everywhere, all across the world, using the platform. And it's existed since 2014. I think we launched in 2014. So been keeping it going for about 6 years now. So, but I've seen it from the inside. I've seen what it's like when you start a corporation. I mean, when the first meeting I had with the lawyer, 2 of us went out of 3 of us that were starting the business, and the lawyer was literally trying to convince us to keep all the power in the hands of just the 2 of us, and to push the other third one out, because they were telling us, listen, you want as few people there as possible to control this. You need as few people as possible, because the more people you get, the less control you're going to have over the direction of this company. So you really want to keep your circle as tight as possible, as small. And they were trying to get us to push the third one out, essentially, and like keep him out of the business. So this is what they do, and you don't know any better, so you're just listening to these people like they're like lawyers. Luckily, we didn't do that, but like they were trying to convince us that that's what they're like. And why you incorporate in Delaware is because, again, just the laws are the most corporate friendly. They allow people to anonymously invest in the corporation, so you can have like dark money flowing into your corporation. So that's all legal through Delaware, and all the laws are like adjudicated by like not by juries, but by judges, and the judges are all, in the pockets of corporations. They not necessarily, but they're just like not necessarily through bribery, but just through ideology. They believe in this neoliberal, capitalist ideology. Let corporations just run free and do whatever they want, and so that's what the end result is. So let's see. I'm too slow on these comments. Let me catch up. Here we got. Again, Carlos Jeffers, it said, another squad member. I love that. Yes. Getting back to Cori Bush, the wonderful Cori Bush. She is going to be a great member of the squad, and she will be a strong proponent for Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, fight for 15. She doesn't play around. She's a Ferguson activist. She is an OG. I mean, she's been pepper sprayed, rubber bulleted. This woman has been out there fighting for working class people, black and brown communities. She's been fighting for. And so we got a champion. This is another champion in Congress. This woman is going to make us proud. I'm 100% sure of it. I am just... I'm a socialist, but I'm excited by this because she's a strong lefty in America, American left. She's on the American left, and she will definitely be she's gonna go in there. She's gonna make noise. I'm telling you, you're gonna hear about Cori Bush. This squad just expanded. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. So. Ben 2K says, if you want to rant, go rant. This is what I'm here for. Get in perspective, learning stuff. Thank you so much, Ben. That I appreciate that, because I'll tell you, like, when I rant at my old jobs, I got fired for ranting, so I get a little nervous when I rant because it evokes some bad memories. But and getting fired from your job is no joke. I mean, it is a major blow to your mental health. I'll get into it sometime, trigger warning for people. Like, it led me to when I lost my job. The last time I lost my job, I lost my partner of like 14 years. She didn't die, but we just broke up through, just a series of things that happened. I got arrested in my own home. It was just like a series of things. And then it was literally when I got fired from my job the next day, I wanted to kill myself, and a friend of mine luckily saved my life essentially and just intervened, and he brought me to hospital here and told me like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna force you in here, but I think you need to check in. And he saved me, really. You know, shout out to my he's one of my Patreon subscribers. Shout out to my buddy Scott. I love you, and you know, just thank you so much for doing what you did. And that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of damage that losing your job can do to people. And so we really have to be careful. Having an at-will employment in this country is disgusting, and it's violent. It's a violent act to fire somebody from their job. It is a violent act. You are condemning them in this country. You are condemning somebody to potential destitution. You're condemning them to not being able to pay their rent, to not being able to buy food, put food on the table. When you lose your job, because of the capitalist system, we tie our value and our worth to our jobs. And so when you lose your job, you feel worthless. You can oftentimes feel worthless. And I did. I felt worthless. I felt like a loser. I was ashamed. And it literally, I mean, I had to check in. I was in inpatient psychiatry for a week. And, you know, it was a life-changing experience, honestly. And that was the second time in as many years that I had been fired from a job for speaking out about what I just thought were clear injustices that were happening in front of my eyes. And it was like so surreal that all these other people that consider themselves like liberal people, like, let me be honest, white liberals who, you know, swore they were my allies. But when push came to shove, you know, I was too radical for them in just trying to speak up against basic injustices that were happening in the workplace. I mean, it was gross. And so, yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm really glad, and I have support. You know, my girlfriend Tammy is amazing and is very supportive, and so yeah, I just see Ben leaving comments now, and I'll get to that. But yeah, I'm lucky to have support. I have you know, my one of my best friends from high school is letting me stay at his place, and that's the only reason that I really have a place to stay right now. I'm technically housing insecure. Because I pay him what I can, and he's just a close friend that helps me out. And so if you're not lucky, if I didn't have the friends that I had, if I wasn't just lucky, and sometimes your friends are good people, but they just don't have it to do that for you. And I just was lucky. And that's the reason that I'm not destitute and homeless right now, is because I just happen to be lucky and have a few people around me that could help me up. But a lot of people don't have that. And then they just fall through the cracks, and they're good people that are hardworking, good, honest, decent people, and they can just fall through the cracks in the system. And once you're there, it's almost hopeless to get back up and get out of that. There's almost no way the class mobility is a farce in this country, and there is no way. Once you're down there, it's so hard to get back up. So I feel for everybody that's in that position. I truly do. I empathize. So I feel for them, and I want to get them out of it, because it's political choices that are being made. And it doesn't need to be this way. It absolutely doesn't need to be this way. And folks like Cori Bush, I swear, are going to fight for people like that need a fighter for them. And so that's why it excites me that I don't think, you know, I'm not jaded, and I'm not like naive, and I don't think that like just because she's there, now we're going to get Medicare for all. No, but it's one more voice. It's one more person pushing from the inside, while all the rest of us try to push from the outside, you know, and that's what we got to do. We just got to do our parts, each, you know, individually, but even more so collectively, and joining in with others to, you know, because that's where we find power, is in collective movements. And then we use those to push the system, push against the system in every way we can to try to stop this thing. Because if you truly believe, like I do, and I think many of you do, that these are, you know, just radical things that we're facing, where like they're like, you know, these are, you know, life-threatening things that are happening to people, and, you know, climate change, and these are massive, you know, catastrophic events on the horizon if we don't do something about it. And if you feel that way, then it's only natural to want to do everything you can and push in every way you can to try to make some change and so yeah, you know, even socialist leftist me that, you know, shits on electoral politics from time to time, because you get jaded fighting in this system for too long. You know, this is an exciting thing with Cori Bush coming in to Congress. She's a good fighter, and I just love that it's a Ferguson activist, and that's just beautiful to me. That's really powerful. So I'm super excited about this. sorry to go on another little, sorry to go off track. That we can talk more about that stuff some other time. I'm happy to talk about that sort of stuff. And, I think that, sharing your personal stories can destigmatize a lot of this stuff. Mental health issues in the Black community in America it's very stigmatized. It's stigmatized in all communities, but it's especially stigmatized in Black and brown communities. People just tell you to like toughen up, and they don't, they just don't have a language and an experience around it. And so it can be difficult to find mental health for your mental health, and to just know what to do. It took me a long time to get into therapy and psychiatry and that sort of stuff. And so, but I recommend it. I strongly recommend therapy to anyone if you have access to it, through your health insurance. Sadly, in America, if you have access to it, utilize it, because even if you're not hurting right now, I didn't know how close to the edge I was when I was there. So it's just something that I think that we can all stand to do a little. I feel great now, and I still go to therapy. So I plan to continue. So that's my little next rant of like, just, care about your mental health, care about others' mental health, and take it seriously. Mental health is physical health. It's your brain. Your brain is it's your brain and your heart. Brain's the most important organ. It's up there controlling everything, and you got to take care of it. So, and we got to take care of each other. So yeah, lean on friends. Don't be afraid to lean on folks, and you don't got to feel ashamed by that or anything like that. So sorry I went off topic a little bit, but just something that, personal. So Carlos Jeffrey says, watching from UK. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Carlos Jeffers. Sorry. Carlos Jeffers says they are watching from the UK. So happy for this primary win. Waiting for all the mainstream networks to start covering Cori, especially Fox News. Yeah, it's so great when they start, right? Like they don't pay attention to these people. Even MSNBC, right? Like they don't even pay attention to these people, and then they win, and then all of a sudden, Joyanne Reid. Last time AOC won, she was like, oh, I'm gonna need to study up on her. And I'm like, study up? Like, she's been running against the fourth most powerful Democrat for over a year now. Why do you need to study up? It's your job to have studied up. Like, it wasn't my job to know this stuff. It was their job. They get paid millions of dollars. Some of these mainstream news hosts and stuff, they're paid millions of dollars to do this stuff, and it's their job to know this, and they're uninformed, misinformed, it's through their ideology. And so and they can get paid to be wrong. They get paid millions of dollars to be consistently wrong on these issues. So it's frustrating for somebody like me that's literally right now getting, I got $16 a month pledged, and I'm proud. I'm excited about that, genuinely excited about that. All right. But like, these people are getting paid millions of dollars a year to be professional wrong people. So that being said, if you want to get folks like, if you like what you hear here today, and you want to support, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Hit that like button below, and then subscribe to the channel. If it doesn't bother you, you can please hit the bell to receive notifications anytime I go live or launch a new video. And also, share the video. If you can share this with other folks, like share it on your social media, that's huge. That's a huge help. And if you can afford it, please head to my Patreon at patreon.com/Radical Democracy, just how you think it's spelled, patreon.com/Radical Democracy, and give me a few bucks. Please, drop me a few bucks, whatever you can afford. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way, and I deeply, deeply appreciate it, and it allows this show to continue and hopefully to grow. And so we need more voices on the left, so if you like what you hear and you want to support, and you can, please, patreon.com/Radical Democracy. Big shout out to Ben 2K who signed up last time. So, and I'll keep an eye on the Patreon just in case anyone else signs up. I'll give you a shout out. Just refreshing. No, still at 3. Okay, so right now I have $16 a month pledged on Patreon. I know it sounds like nothing. It means a lot to me, but my goal is to try to get to 100 by the end of August. I think that might be too pie in the sky. I don't know what to expect, but my goal is 100 by the end of August. I have a lot of friends I'll be able to announce this too soon, and so I'll be announcing my channel. They don't, most people close to me don't even know that I'm doing this right now, but if you can, it goes a long way, and it really will keep this channel going. So if you can afford it, please, patreon.com/radical democracy. I really appreciate it. So we got UK in the house, we got Germany in the house, we got US in the house. Like, I'm loving this. I am loving this. Okay, this is exactly what I was hoping for as somebody that's an internationalist. I mean, I really want to hear from, and just being able to speak to and hear from folks from all around the world. This is so cool to me, and this is really fun and engaging, and I really appreciate it and enjoy it. So thank you so much for being here. It's really awesome, all of you folks. So welcome to the stream here, Carlos. I'm just seeing them, some chatting back and forth about, oh, Minali says I'm in France. Awesome. We got UK, France, Germany, US in the house. This is beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted. I love it. Thank you so much, Minali. Shout out to you in France. I have a awesome, friend, I hope I can call them, that lives in Annecy, I believe. Are you awake, babe? No. Okay. Babe's sleeping. I think it's called Annecy, and I think he lives right near Lake Annecy, I believe. I'm probably getting it wrong. I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. But I think it's considered the cleanest lake or fresh body of water in all of Europe, I believe. And it looks like the cleanest lake in the world to me. I mean, it's beautiful. Let me see if I can pull this up so that y'all can see. I know I'm spelling this wrong. Oh, it's not Annecy. Oh, there it goes. Annecy. Okay, there we go. This lake is beautiful. Look at this. It looks like the water in like Jamaica to me. Like, this is amazing. There's Lake Annecy here. Here, let me see if I can find it bigger. Lake Annecy. So yeah, I have a friend who lives by this place. I mean, it's just beautiful. Wonderful. I hope to visit someday. So shout out to France. Shout out to my buddy out there. Won't name names because I don't have permission. So I'll keep identities and stuff like that anonymous. But yeah. So let's see. So this is awesome. That really excites me. That's so cool. Minali's over in France. We got France, Ben in Germany, and Carlos is in UK. Beautiful. Ben2K says, ha, nice international solidarity. Yes. Solidarity forever, y'all. Carlos Jeffers says, hey, my European far leftists, aka centrist. Exactly, right? I love it. Carlos says, love me some Kyle. So underrated. He should be way bigger than he is. All leftists should be. All leftists should be way bigger than they are right now. But the mainstream does everything they can to hold down voices like his. And to be honest, voices like mine, I'm not going to be put into the YouTube algorithm just based on the topics. Putting Cori Bush in your title, things like that just don't get... it doesn't please the YouTube algorithm, and because they've done everything they can to suppress left-wing voices. So that's why it's so important to share these videos with folks that might be amenable to these sorts of debates and ideas and discussions. So please, if you can, share, social media, wherever you can, share it out. Also, just again, if you can support in that way with any financial support, it's really what's going to help to keep this show going and growing. And so patreon.com/radical democracy. I'm going to keep on saying it because, I hate asking for money, but I got to do it because I want to keep this thing going. And I love doing this, and I love chatting with you all. And I just want to keep it going for as long as possible and forever, hopefully. So thanks for being here. And I appreciate all the support and appreciate everyone being here. So sorry, I have to look away. My setup. I'll fix my setup. So, I'm working on the setup, and I'll increase production and, just do better for you. The more support we get. Yes. So Ben 2K says, kind of like why Facebook Europe is in Ireland's tax reasons. I don't understand that exactly. Kind of like why Facebook Europe is in Ireland's tax. reasons. Okay. Not sure. I don't know exactly what that means. I'm sorry, Ben. I apologize. I'm not exactly sure what that meant. But Ben 2K says, glad you didn't. Life can really suck sometimes. Yeah, thank you so much. Happy. And Ben says, happy that you're in a better place now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. That means so much. And yeah, I mean, I hope no one ever, I hope everyone has folks around them and to help them and just the support that they need and the access to the health care that they need. Because I'll tell you, if I didn't get that health care, if I didn't have, at the time, I luckily still had insurance. Seriously, like I still had insurance. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what the bill for being there for like a week. Holy it was like tens of thousands of dollars. I would have been, if I didn't happen to have insurance, I would have been screwed. And I was just like, it was just after I'd been fired from my job. So I was still, you get like a few days because they fired me at the end of the month. So it was like August 27th of last year, I got fired. And then like, I had a few days of health insurance left. So it was like just luck. And then like I got bills for like after my health insurance lapsed, and like I still owe some of that bill. And I'm just like, you can't get blood from a turnip. You ain't getting that from me. Like I'm just waiting for Medicare for All to pass and cancellation of medical debt. And until that day, like I'm just going to be stacked with some of this debt, but whatever. That's the US for you. Carlos Jeffers says, feeling my man's passion here. Thank you so much, Carlos. Appreciate that. Oh, Carlos says, oh, looky here. CNN have put something out. Nice. Sometimes they don't let you drop links in this thing. So like you might have tried to drop a link. Let's quickly just try to pull up CNN Cori Bush and see what they got. Okay. Let's see, 1 hour ago. Yeah, here we go. Laci Clay defeated by progressive primary challenger Cori Bush, CNN projects. Okay, so CNN now is calling the race, or projecting it out for Cori Bush now. We already know what it is, but you can see Laci Clay there. And here's my sister Cori. Yeah, so that's beautiful. Cori Bush, a progressive activist and veteran of the racial justice protest movement, defeated 20-year incumbent Missouri Rep. William Lacy Clay in a Democratic primary on Tuesday. A stunning victory for the party's insurgent left. Yes, it is. Oops. The U.S. House seat based in St. Louis has been held by Clay and his father, former Rep. William Clay Sr., one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus since 1969. Bush, who challenged Clay in 2018 and lost, was the first candidate launched by Justice Democrats. Wow, she was the first candidate. Cori Bush was. I remember. I mean, I thought that. I mean, I remember AOC was early on. Cori Bush, Paula Jean Swearengin, like they all came in like really closely after each other. I didn't realize that Cori Bush was the first. I thought that AOC was actually the first, but Cori Bush apparently was the first from Justice Democrats. And they're the progressive group dedicated to toppling moderate Democratic congressional incumbents. Also, I don't know which article I read it in, but I think it might have been the New York Times article. But Cori Bush will actually be the first black woman sent to Congress from Missouri. So that's another first out of Missouri. And it's not just a black woman. It's a black woman who is a strong progressive, who is a strong, advocate for things like for popular left-wing policy. So she's a left-wing populist, essentially. And so this is no small victory right here. So I think this is a quote from Bush. She said, from her victory speech, she says, I'll just read a little bit more from this article. It says, Bush's victory will send another round of shockwaves through the Democratic caucus on Capitol Hill. Yes, it will, where leadership has fought to stave off a new generation of combative progressives who support Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and other economic and racial justice policies dismissed for decades by the party establishment. Yes. Here's a quote from Cori Bush. We've been called radicals, terrorists. We've been dismissed as an impossible fringe movement. That's what they called us, Bush said in her victory speech. But now we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-generational mass movement united in demanding change and demanding accountability and demanding that our police, our government, our country recognize that black lives do indeed matter. Yes. Here, let me pull on my sign real quick. I'll pull on my sign. Oh. Don't mind me, y'all. Don't mind me. I'm just breaking everything here. Boom. Boom. Yes, 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 they do. Um, So yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I do. We stay out there at some protests whenever I can. I should be out on the streets right now, actually, fighting against these damn evictions. If you can be, get out in those streets, fight against. Do not let them evict anybody in your community. You get together, you block them off, you do whatever you got to do, but you do not let them evict people in the middle of a pandemic like this. We fight however we have to keep people in their homes. So. Yes. That was a huge one. So I love it. She also said, it is historic, Bush told supporters after the race was called, that this year of all years, we're sending a black, working class, single mother who's been fighting for black lives since Ferguson all the way to the halls of Congress. That's beautiful. I love it. I just love it. Get out of here. Advertisements or whatever they're trying to do. Okay, so that's Cori Bush, and that's the CNN. Thank you for letting me know about that, Carlos. I appreciate that. So CNN, dropping it. They have to pay attention. And that's what I love about it. This gets them like they said, shockwaves. This will send shockwaves through Congress where it has a ripple effect outward where it lifts up other candidates. It lifts up other, progressive challengers where one just lifts their spirits and letting them have some hope of like, yeah, we can actually do this. Between Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Cori Bush, we're looking at some big wins here. Paula Jean Swearingen won her primary in West Virginia and has a chance to win her, in the general. So we got Shahid Buttar out in California. I think their 12th district, running against Nancy Pelosi, the most powerful Democrat in Congress, the Speaker of the House. And so Shahid Buttar, man, oh man, if Shahid Buttar knocks off Nancy Pelosi, you will see me shed tears on camera. I promise you that. That will be just monumental. That will be, it's hard to contextualize. If he does that, it will be. So please, if you haven't already, damn it, before you support me, drop Shahid a few bucks, please, because we need to get this done. We got to get Shahid Buttar into Congress. We got to get Nancy Pelosi out, really. But Shahid Buttar is another strong progressive. Medicare for all. He ran into some controversy recently that I did a video on. Check out my video on Shahid Buttar. If you're watching this after I post this, I might drop a link somewhere over here. But check out, maybe I'll drop it over there, maybe. But check out Shahid Buttar. And just, if you can't afford it, drop him a few bucks because he needs all the support he can get. We got some, liberal types that are trying to like pile on to him, and I really think that injustice is being done. I'm gonna do another follow-up video on that because I don't think I've covered it enough yet, and I'm gonna bring Michael Brooks into the conversation because he has a great talk that he gave, and he talked about the difference between program and rhetoric and how we on the left should not be compromising on human rights. If somebody comes into the movement and they say, hey, I want to fight for Medicare for all, but no gay people allowed. Like, no, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game. That's done. We're not doing that. There's no debates to be had over that. We don't want you here. That's fine. But if somebody comes in and they're like, and he says in this, like, and they say, I want to fight for Medicare for all with you, but I really like that Bill Burr special I saw the other day. And then you turn around and you're like, all right, we need to unpack that for 15 hours. He's like, no, that's distracting. It's disruptive. It does nothing, and it doesn't move us forward. It's unwelcoming. It pushes people away, and we need to be better on the left about differentiating between program and rhetoric. What is it? And he specifies that when you're working for, if you're doing, if you're in a small, like, what we would deem as like safe spaces, like there, you might be doing something out of your home or in a small, like, community space. There, the rules of etiquette can be much tighter, right? Like you can get even tighter when you're in personal relationships, right? Setting boundaries. These are all just like ways of setting boundaries, right? And you can set much more boundaries with a loved one, somebody close to you, set more boundaries. And so, but in the space of like campaigning for a large, movement. The rules of etiquette have to be a little bit more lax, and we have to have room for people to disagree on certain cultural issues while still in rhetoric, because sure, we all have problems, and maybe everything that people are saying maybe he did, but I don't think that means that necessarily out of the gate that he's like some bad person. Workers came out and complained that he was like that he wasn't paying, that he was like not respecting the women's opinions, when other volunteers have come out and said, hey, listen, it wasn't that they were women, it was that they disagreed fundamentally on strategy, and that these people wanted to keep power sort of centralized through the campaign management team, whereas Shahid Buttar said that he wanted to decentralize that power somehow. So I'm in favor of more democracy. That seems like a nuanced issue, and something that he, as somebody that's been fighting on the side of left-wing politics for so long and been fighting for poor working class people for so long, deserves some benefit of the doubt here, and to at least be heard and listened to. So I'm going to get more into the Shahid Buttar situation again in another video, because I don't think that I did it enough justice, and I really want to bring in like Michael Brooks into the conversation and show what I believe is the proper left-wing approach to handling issues like this, where we don't cannibalize ourselves and destroy ourselves from within. We got to be better about that on the left. We have to be a welcoming place, so that people, because we're not the most popular ideology yet, but we want to get there. We want to become the popular ideology. We want to get to the point of being mainstream. And the only way to do, because I don't want to be some subculture, some counterculture. I don't just want to be a subculture. And this is another thing Michael Brooks talks about, where it's like, we don't just want to be some subculture. We're trying to grow and build a movement that's actually going to win. And if what we're talking about is winning, and actually winning in a way that, again, is providing substantive rights to human beings, then that's what needs to be the focus. And we can't put our personal feelings sometimes above people's substantive human rights. And so Shahid Buttar is going to fight for substantive human rights for people. Nancy Pelosi will fight against those. And we have to do everything that we can on the left to get Shahid Buttar elected. So that's my little Shahid Buttar rant. Go and support him if you can. He's great. So, even with all the controversy, I'm still a supporter of his. I have a monthly recurring donation to his campaign, and I'm definitely, going to try to make some calls. Maybe I'll do a video where I'm like doing phone calls for Shahid Buttar on video. I've seen Mike Figueredo from the Humanist Report do that, and that like really encouraged me to make calls. I forget, I don't know if he did it for AOC or who, but he did it. And then like, I remember like the next day I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Like if he can do it and it's like that, and he showed me what it's like, I'm going to do this. So I'll try to do something like that. Maybe do like an hour, video where I'm just like making calls, and you'll see like what it's like just like on the phone and stuff, so that it like demystifies it for you, hopefully. And like, hopefully it'll be an encouraging thing. So Ben2K says, Ireland for tax reasons. You talked about Biden and the credit card thing. Your business. Yes. Yeah, Ireland has like, what do they call that thing where they do with the Ireland? There's like a tax loophole that they can do with Ireland, and like there's like something called like, they have these names for them where it's like an Irish something, and then there's like the something with a Dutch, like, oh man, let's see if I can remember it. It's like a Dutch sandwich or something, like Dutch sandwich. Oops. Double Irish with a Dutch sandwich. So that's what it's called. A double Irish with a Dutch sandwich. And the double Irish with a Dutch sandwich. Oops, sorry. So double Irish with a Dutch sandwich is a tax avoidance technique employed by certain large corporations involving the use of a combination of Irish and Dutch subsidiary companies to shift profits to low or no tax jurisdictions. The technique has made it possible for certain corporations to reduce their overall corporate tax rates dramatically. So they cheat. These people cheat. They cheat the system. They do whatever they can to scam and cheat their way through to make sure that they're not paying taxes, so that all these large corporations, a lot of these large corporations like Amazon, paid less in taxes last year than you did. Okay, if you pay federal taxes in the US, Amazon paid less federal taxes last year than you did. In fact, they got $100 million rebate. We gave Amazon, the wealthiest corporation corporation in the entire damn world. We gave them $100 million, okay, whose owner is the richest man in the entire planet. We gave that company, our taxpayers, we gave him $100 million because that makes sense. That's capitalism for you. That just makes perfect sense. Oh, yay, my buddy is in here. Underscores in the building, or aka no name, underscores in the building, says, hey, bud. About time for some good news. Right. That's your home state? What? That's dope. Missouri's his home state. So underscores, or no name as we're going with, is saying that Missouri is his home state, and that this so that's dope. Did you vote? Did you vote for the Medicaid expansion too? Did you get a chance to vote? That's really awesome. So hope you got to vote for Medicaid expansion. That was another win that for Missouri. I'll pull up those results here. You can see the Medicaid expansion passed. Missouri voters deciding whether to expand Medicaid eligibility under the Affordable Care Act, which could extend health care coverage to as many as 217,000 low-income people. The more the merrier. We need everybody. It should be 100%. It should be every single person covered without any questions asked. If you're a human being, you get the healthcare you need. That's how it should exist. But anything like this is a win. And so hope you got to vote for it. Okay, I see. So that's home. Oh, I see. Home state, but Hawaii resident. Gotcha. Home state. So I see. So he's from Missouri originally. So underscore says he's from Missouri originally, but Hawaii. He's a resident of Hawaii now. So that's cool still. That's dope. What's it like? Man, that must be beautiful. Whew. I'm jealous. So Ben 2K says Missouri, congrats. Cori Bush is a good one from what I heard. Yeah, she is a great one. And I've done a lot of reading up on her, and yeah, she's a great activist and leader, and it's going to be great for the movement. So this is huge, and it's going to, this is going to make all kinds of headlines, and they're going to have to pay attention. They're going to have to start paying more attention to the left. And so it's definitely a win for us. Underscore says they cheat. Yep. And poor folks get the book thrown at them for shoplifting because they're literally starving. Welcome to capitalism. Exactly. This is it. Like, you got 3 strikes laws that people can get locked up for life over stealing, candy bars. And so it's just like, it's the gross. It's so messed up what we do. You'll never see these white collar criminals, like they don't go to jail for this stuff. This stuff is actually technically legal. Like, they do this stuff, there's these tax evasion schemes, but they're technically legal. And so but this shit should be illegal. Like, usury used to be illegal in this country. You used to not be able to charge these exorbitant credit card rates. Like, our credit card rates in this country, we have credit card rates that are like 27 and 30% interest rates, and that's called usury, and it used to be illegal. And so, like, AOC and Bernie Sanders, about a year or two ago, they came out with a bill to try to stop it, because it's like, this is terrible. You shouldn't be charging the lowest income people, the people that are struggling the most with their credit. You shouldn't be charging them the highest interest rates. Like, that's backwards. It's just backwards the way that we do stuff. So underscore says now they need to vote through recreational marijuana. Yeah. When do they get a chance to vote on it? I don't know about that. If they have a chance to vote in the general, maybe that's on a ballot initiative in the general. That would be awesome. And I hope they do. I mean, they'll be catching up with the rest of the country and world here. So hopefully, fingers crossed for them. I'm in Massachusetts. Recreational is legal. I've grown my own cannabis. I lived in Jamaica for like 3 years, where, my family's Rastafarian. I used to have like 5-foot long dreads till I was like 15 years old, and I was born and raised Rastafarian. Never cut my hair from the day I was born till the day I was about right before, a little bit before I turned 16. I cut my hair. I was like, again, I cut off like 4 feet of it and still had like a foot of hair left to do braids with and stuff. And yeah, I'm my family, cannabis was not stigmatized in my family in any way, shape, or form. My father gave me my first joint when I was very young. I won't even say how young. I was 10. And it's just destigmatized. It doesn't have that same stigma that it has here. It's considered like, they say it's the healing herb of the nation. That's what they believe in, as Rastafarians. And it does it. I mean, you can use it for anxiety. depression, insomnia, pain. I mean, it is a miracle plant, honestly. And yeah, it's disgusting that they can make that a plant illegal. But, you know, like, these pharmaceutical companies can sell you stuff that legally, that like opioids that, you know, killed how many people in this country. We have an opioid crisis. Totally legal for, you know, the Sackler family to be pushing drugs that are killing people, you know, into small communities and just rural areas all across the country, and ravage the whole country with these things. And that's totally legal for them to do that. You know, they push heroin through things like morphine and opiates that they have. And as long as they're like packaged up in a nice bottle, you know, they're allowed to push whatever drugs they want. But, you know, let some black or brown or poor people sell some drugs and watch what happens to them. You know, they'll be locked up real quick. So yeah, underscore says they always take advantage of the most vulnerable in the system. This system creates scarcity and desperation. A lot of people fighting for a small amount of resources, low paying jobs, etc. Exactly. And it's a false scarcity. You know, it's a false scarcity. It creates a scarcity. It needs that, right? They need a set of capitalism requires a set of unemployed people as a part of capitalism. A set of people must remain unemployed so that the capitalists can use that as two things. One, a backup labor force in the event that one of their workers gets sick or dies, you know. They need backup labor, right? So they want a backup labor force. So they want to make sure they keep a backup labor force where they can easily and quickly pull from, right? And then two, they need a threat to the rest of the working people to say, listen, if you don't work and do whatever the hell I tell you, if you don't work for more hours, for less pay and less benefits, then I'm just going to hire one of these desperate people out here, and we're going to have them come in and take your job, and they'll do the job for you that you won't do. And they'll do it for less money because they're more desperate, because they haven't put food on the table. They haven't paid rent in 3 or 4 months, like 30% of the country right now. And so they're desperate. And so that's what they can do. And they can use that reserve labor force to threaten people with. So yeah, it's what they do. You're absolutely 1000% correct. So underscore says, interesting about your background. Rad. How's everything going? How you doing? I'm doing good. If you watch a little back in the stream, you'll see some personal stories of mine there. Some difficult times that I talked about, but I also talked about how right now I'm doing much better, so much better than I was, because of having the support of people around me. You know, I did it through, you know, I got better through community, through having friends close to me that really I was able to lean on to help me get to this place. And so, yeah, just having people around you and good folks and just, you know, doing stuff like this really is what energizes me and puts me in a great mood. Like when I do a stream like this where there's so much engagement, like this puts me in an awesome mood. So I'm feeling great right now. I'm feeling great after Cori Bush with this win right here. Like, I know I'm like, you know, I've said before, I've tried to, you know, in some ways I've checked out of some like particularly the presidential race. I've checked, you know, it's a distraction at this point to me, like the presidential race, because it's Biden or Trump. We're just not getting much different there. You know, in my opinion, it's just not it's just not a huge difference. It's only a difference in rhetoric and not a difference in program whatsoever. And so that's another point that I could bring in Michael Brooks's point of program versus rhetoric. Like, look at Joe Biden's program. His program is almost the same. I saw a list of like, somebody released recently, like, of all the things that they're for and against, and they're the same. They're just the same across the board. Wants to cut Social Security, wants to, you know, cut Medicare, Medicaid, doesn't support Medicare for all, doesn't support a Green New Deal. Yeah, these people are, you know, programmatically they're the same. So they're nearly the same. So it's only in their rhetoric. Biden will do all the terrible shit, but he'll just do it with a nicer, you know, he'll say it more politely and, you know, decorum. That's what they care about. So I'm getting loud here. I need to stop. I'm so excited. So, all right. So yeah, everything's going really good for me. How's everything going for you and for everyone here? How is everyone doing? I'd like to check in, seriously. Like, let me know how you're doing, and I love to check in and hear from you and know that you're doing well. So, you know, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know how you're doing, and if you don't want to share publicly and you don't want to talk about it publicly, or anything that I said here, you know, you want to talk about, but you don't feel comfortable talking about it publicly, send me an email. You can email me at radicaldemocracynow@gmail.com. So I'll try to remember to add my email into the description box. So here, I'll actually edit it right now. Give me 1 second, and I'll throw my email into the description box below. So seriously, reach out to me. I'll tell you right now, I can be a little slow responding. But I will make every effort in the world to respond quicker, especially if it's a serious message at all. I want to do whatever I can to be supportive of folks in the community here. And so if there's anything I can do, I've been through some stuff where at least, you know, I can relate in a lot of ways. And so if something's got you down, whatever, and you don't have anyone else to reach out to me, and I will do everything I can. You know, I'll give you my phone number. We can talk, whatever it takes. I want to make sure everyone in the community is safe, healthy, happy. So I hope you're all doing great, and thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, do me a favor. Weird time to mention this, but do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe. If you're on your phone, you just got to close out the chat. If you're on YouTube on your phone, just close out the chat, and then you'll see the like button. Hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell to receive notifications if it does not bother you. And as long as you got the mental health capacity to deal with it, you know, do that. Ooh. I should have told, that's somebody calling me. I need to tell them that I'm actually streaming right now. I should have. They'd be in the stream here. So yeah, just like, subscribe, and if you can afford it, do me a favor. Oh, also share the video with, share it on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. Share this video, because that just helps get more eyes on it, helps the channel to grow, and that will be deeply appreciated. We're starting to pick up pace. I've noticed, like, more subscribers coming in quicker, and like, it's really exciting and really encouraging. So I really appreciate everyone that's subscribed. And if you can afford it, please do me a huge favor and head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. There's a link to it in the description box below. It's right towards the end of the description box below. But it's patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. And if you just go over there and, sign up for a few dollars a month, whatever you can afford, it is deeply appreciated, and it goes so far in keeping this show going and growing. And I can't thank you enough if you do. And if you can't afford it, don't feel bad. I totally understand, but especially in these trying times, but it really does. It will keep this thing going and growing. And so I just appreciate it. All right. So do me that favor if you can. I'll try to keep an eye on it. And if we get any new patrons, I will definitely give you a shout out here on the stream if I notice it. Come in. But yes, as underscore says, hit the like button. Yes, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It's so big. It just gets more eyes on the stream. YouTube algorithm likes it. The more likes they see, the more people that, the more people will see it. So I see that 50 people have come through here. We only got 11 likes. I want to see more likes. So if you haven't already, smash that like button. Stop hesitating. You hit that like button because you like this. You're here this long. I know you like it. Hit that like button, okay? It goes a long way. It's a huge favor. Helps the stream grow. So thank you so much for doing your part to keep this thing going. Yeah, exactly. Underscore says, do it for the algorithm. Exactly. It's just a stupid algorithm. That's how it works. They otherwise these things get suppressed. And so I want to grow. I think that this channel could grow into something big someday with your help. I genuinely believe that this channel can grow into something big with your support. So if you can, do me that huge favor, and I will be forever indebted to you. I owe you a deep gratitude. So thank you so much. All right. So yeah, I think we're kind of, we're sort of nearing the end of the stream here. I feel like, how long have we been going for? I don't see right now, oddly. Okay, 2.5 hours. Okay, yeah, not bad, not a bad stream. 2.5 hours. So I think we'll probably wrap up soon. I don't have a ton more to talk about. We've gone through a lot here today. Please drop comments and I will read any comments that come in. Someone said, there you go. Do you watch Status Coup? They're masters at promoting their channel. Not only do I watch Status Coup, but in fact, I was interviewed by Jordan Sheridan in New Hampshire when I was campaigning for Bernie. I got interviewed by Jordan Sheridan for Status Coup, and I'm gonna find the video and I'll drop a link to the video, not here, but I'll find the video and probably clip it and post it on my channel for you guys, because it was really fun and really cool. I did get interviewed by Status Coup, and it was a really cool interview. They actually talked about like potentially hiring me for Status Coup when they interviewed me. The people in the comments, because I talked about how I was unemployed, and I have Jordan Sheridan's card like somewhere like in my wallet right now. Like Jordan Sheridan gave me his card to like follow up with him. You say you remember that? What? That's crazy. What? That's amazing. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, that's dope if you say you remember that. And they used my clip. They used my clip to promote the video, because I said in the clip, I was like, $5 a month, sign up for Status Coup. And they ended up clipping it and using it for their like promotional videos and stuff. So I'm like in a Status Coup promotional video, and I love it. I love Status Coup. I love Jordan Sheridan. I love what they're doing. Absolutely, right? Like I was just afraid, like I get nervous about this stuff, and I was like afraid to hit him up. And so you're right. You're 100% right. I really should hit up Jordan. I know I put his card somewhere there. I think I saved it. So I took it out of my wallet because my wallet was getting jacked up and I didn't want to lose it. So I think it's like in my drawer here or something like that. I'm being silly right now, but like, yes. I absolutely love Status Coup. I love what they're doing over there, and they are masters of promoting their channel. And I try to pull from that and be you know, encouraged by that, or like, yeah, influenced by that. But like, yeah, I think that's how you got to do. You got to do it, because honestly, that's how we stay alive. That's how we stay afloat here. Hold on one second. My buddy keeps calling me. I'm gonna just tell him that I'm live streaming. Hold on. Yo, I'm in the middle of a live stream right now, so go on to my channel and talk to me there if you have to, but I'm literally in the middle of a live stream, and I'm talking to you. So just head over to the live stream, at least go, and you better go there and then hit that like button, damn it. So go over, like my stream, damn it. And if you want, just drop in the comments, and we got some really cool comments. By the way, folks, if you're watching right now, I'm on the phone with the person. This is Kwame, who does, we're doing Raise Fist Media together, and we've done videos together. He did the Shahid Buttar video with me. He did the Amin Bundy video with me. A lot of folks commented on that and really loved that one. And so we're going to be working on a project together, Raise Fist Media. And so, yeah, this is Kwame here. And yeah, just jump on the stream. People would love to talk to you. I'm almost wrapping up the stream now, so I'll try to I'll give you a buzz as soon as I get off the stream. We're sort of wrapping things up. Things are winding down now, but feel free to head over and just drop a comment, say what's up. Just let folks know you're here. All right, buddy. Catch you later, brother. All right. So sorry about that, y'all. That was Kwame from Raise Fist Media. We're going to be doing a stream together soon. So he's just checking in with me because the stream ran a little longer than I expected. So probably cut it around 11. Thing said, underscore says, bro, you're really good at this. You'd be great. You'd be a great guest on their show. You're going to make me, that touches my heart. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to reach out to them at some point again. I really will. I just was kind of like, I figured like, maybe if I do this and then, they'll see that like I have some capability of doing something like this too. So yeah, I do plan to reach out to Status Quo. I would love to collaborate with them in some way. Just being a guest on their show would be massive. If they would have me on their show, that's such a good idea, actually, underscore. You know what? Like, if you're a Status Quo member or fan and you're ever on it, like, mention that to them. Be like, hey, can you have this guy on your show? Because I really think that they listen to their community, and if enough of the community speaks up and says, hey, have him on your show, they'll probably have me on. So please do that, and that would be awesome if you can. Like, if any of you are Status Quo fans, like, go over there, drop a comment on Status Quo, send them an email or something, and with a link to the podcast, and like say like, hey, have this person on. They were on your show before, and you had this cool interaction, and think you should have them back on, and that would be awesome and amazing, and I'd love you for it. And yeah, so underscore says this is like the rush hour outtakes now. That's awesome. Yes it is. Kwame dropped in and said, hey y'all, we got some more good content coming for you. Yes, we're going to be doing a stream today. We're going to be talking about Blizzard employees recently came out and started sharing like wage information, and there's sort of like a labor uprising in the tech industry, and so we're going to be chatting about that very soon. So come back soon and keep an eye out, because even after I stop this stream, I'm going to be stopping the stream, and then we're going to be starting a new stream, new topic. So it'll be happening soon, sometime today. So thank you for being here, Kwame. Really shout out to you, brother. Kwame's a longtime friend of mine. We went to high school together. I've known Kwame for over 20 years now. I've known Kwame. We go way back, like at least 20 years I've known Kwame. And so yeah, always glad to have him here. Underscore says, hey Kwame, thanks for the content. Kwame says, do it, about hitting up Status Quo. Oh, dope. Underscore says, I'm a Status Quo I'm a Status Quo patron. I can ask them in a super chat if I get time. I love you. If you do that, huge shout out. You're amazing for that. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. Speaking of Patreon and being patrons, folks, if folks can afford it, this isn't to you, Underscore, because you obviously you're doing your thing right now. I totally understand if folks can't afford it. Don't worry about it if you can't afford it. But if you can afford it, do me a favor and head over to my Patreon and sign up. Throw me a few dollars a month. It goes so far to helping this thing grow. I'm going to drop the lowest tier to like $1, but like just do whatever you want. And I'm going to I'll take away the paywall off of everything. Like I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to I'm figuring this stuff out, and I don't want to be restricting in any way. So like whatever you have, I want you to you can see all my content on YouTube is the thing. Like it's all public. It's all available. The only thing I'll probably do for patrons is do early releases of content. So that's what my big plan is for patrons. But even if you're not paying me, you'll get all my content. I'll never block people from seeing the content. I want the message to spread, and so I'll never block you because you can't block you from seeing any content because you can't afford it. But if you can afford it, please do me a favor. Head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/radical democracy. Link in the description box below. It's towards the bottom of the description box. You'll see the link to my Patreon and my email. And yeah, please sign up for the Patreon. Throw me a few dollars a month, whatever you can afford. My goal is to try to get to $100 a month by the end of August. So it's a big goal. I'm only at $16 a month right now. So every dollar counts right now. And what I need to get to is honestly around $2,000 a month, ultimately, if I need to survive and make this a full-time job, which is my goal. That's what I'm headed for. Now, I'm going to be doing another project with Kwame, Raised Fist Media. So it's just between those two. And you can find that at patreon.com/Raised Fist Media, RAISEDFIST Media, MEDIA. So patreon.com/Raised Fist Media. Feel free to throw us a couple of bucks there as well. It really helps. Again, just helps the channels to exist and to grow. So we appreciate you so much, and we'll give shout outs to everyone that signs up through Patreon. You'll get a huge shout out. Huge thank you from us. We appreciate it so much, especially the early support. It means so much, and it goes so far. So thank you so much for supporting this early when there's not, all the social proof of it. And, it's not just like some big thing. It makes it your contribution so much more important. So yeah, if you're watching this after the fact, please, do me a favor, check it out, patreon.com/radical democracy. And I'll give you a shout out in another video. If I don't shout you out here, if you sign up after the fact, don't worry about it. I will shout you out. You will get a huge shout out. You will get, I will give you nothing but love. You don't have to sign up you can sign up anonymously. if you want or anything like that. But like, yeah, I'll give you a shout out, or with like a, you know, anonymous name, anything like that. But I'll shout you out. So thank you so much to everyone for showing up and to participating in the chat. We had a ton of engagement today, and that's really, really encouraging for me. And so I love doing these streams, especially with coming with some good news. It is fun to deliver some good news. And this Cori Bush win is a big one, and so I'm really excited by this, especially where it's a come from behind victory like that. Was just a bit of a surprise, and woke up to some great news. And you know, this stream has just been awesome and really, really fun today. So Kwame says there is no movement, no us without y'all. Yes, and then underscore says, okay, there you go. And so let me check here. Wow, thank you so much to underscore. Thank you so much. Big shout out. We got another new patron, underscore. It's just underscore or no name, aka no name. You know, coming to us from Hawaii, home state of Missouri, but coming to us from Hawaii. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It means so much. This is amazing. We're at $20 a month. I'm so excited. That's so cool. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I will live up to it. I will make it worthwhile. And I promise to keep on giving you content like this. It means so much. And I can't thank you enough. I will never forget these first patrons that are signing up. Like you, this is all because of you that I'm able to do this. So it's what encourages me, honestly, to come back and to keep on doing this content more and more frequently. It's like, I know that people are out there and they're supporting. And so I want to do my part to make sure that their support goes that extra mile and that this has some impact. And so, you know, thank you so much. And again, I intend to build out, you know, with Kwame, Race Fist Media is going to be a democratic workplace. Whatever I do here at Radical Democracy will grow into a democratic workplace. And this will not be a capitalist business in any way. I know, so if anyone's confused about what capitalism is, my definition of capitalism is defined by, it is the economic system defined by the employer-employee relationship. And so I will not have I will not be anyone's employer. Everyone will have a democratic say in this business. When any person that is hired into this business will have a democratic say. They will be an employee for life unless, you know, unless they do something violent against another employee, or, you know, like, they will be an employee for life, and they will have a democratic say in this business. And so I plan to build, you know, to try to build democracy from the grassroots up, and hopefully that's the socialism that I believe in. Democracy in the workplace, what Richard Wolff talks about. You'll see me talk about Richard Wolff a lot, and what he espouses. You know, check his stuff out, democracyatwork.com. It used to be democracyatwork.info, but I think they're at democracyatwork.com now, but definitely at democracyatwork.info for sure. Richard Wolff is amazing. And yeah, underscore says thanks, and says you look familiar, which is funny. Ben says, okay, so let me catch up. Okay. Ben says, yeah, really important. Like to say I was one of the first once you blow up subscriber wise. Yes, dude, like you really will be. Like, Ben, seriously, you were literally, Ben, the first non-family subscriber. Like, it was my girlfriend and a person I consider my brother, who I talked about earlier in the stream, Scott, were my first two subscribers, and you were my first like non-friend, like person that I knew personally, like in life that I knew personally. You were the first subscriber, Ben, so thank you so much. But you guys you're the first subscribers. Underscore is my second, you know, subscriber. You're number two on something that I truly believe, and I think that you guys believe in it too, that this thing can grow into something real and big, and it will be because of you. You will share in that. So I honestly, I can't thank you enough, and I do owe this to you. And I'm gonna do like something like a credits thing at the end of my videos, and you guys will forever be in the credits section. And like I see folks that do that, and I want to get all that going. I just haven't had the infrastructure yet and the time, and so I'm gonna keep setting that up as I get going, and I'll make sure that I continue to show that gratitude and just continue to produce content that makes it worthwhile and makes the donation worthwhile, because that's what these are, donations that you're giving me, and I take them very seriously, and I really appreciate them. So just thank you so much to Ben, to Underscores. It means a lot. It really does, and I don't even have words to describe. So Underscore says, all right, gonna hit the sack. Totally understandable. Good night, Underscores. Sorry if I didn't catch you before you left, but have a good night. Thank you so much. I just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for the Patreon subscription, and just for being here and engaging in the chat and checking back on the videos. I read every comment in the videos and love getting back to you and chatting with you. So thank you so much. And thank you for helping this thing to be real and to grow. So I love you guys. Ben says, Underscore says, all right, gonna hit the sack. Keep it going. Good work. Status quo bound. Yes. I love it. I love that energy. Please. That would be so cool. It would be so cool. I hope so. One of these days it'll happen. Like, to be like on status quo as Radical Democracy, as like this podcast getting there, and just, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine, what could happen for the channel if we get there, like what kind of growth we could see, through that kind of interaction. So I can't wait, and I hope we make it happen. Underscores, we'll work on this together. Hopefully we get this to happen, and we'll get some more support, and we'll just keep spamming Jordan Sheridan until he has us on. And trust me, wherever I go, I bring the whole community with me. So y'all are right there with me wherever we go. So okay, Underscores wants it said, quick plug, check out New Retro Wave Records. So good plug. Let me just pull that up on here so everyone can see. It's New Retro, sorry, my typing is bad, Wave Records. And I'm a computer scientist. I'm a programmer by profession, and I can't touch type. It's pathetic. I apologize. I'm gonna learn someday. New Retro Wave Records. Is this it here? Is this New Retro Wave? Let me see. I'll like you on Facebook. Are you guys on Facebook? Let me see. Is this? I think this is you on Facebook. New Retro Wave. New Retro Wave is a network dedicated to promoting the best in emerging retro wave scene. Is this right? Underscores, let me know if this is right. I hope so. I will. That's it. Okay, awesome. I'm going to like this page. And yeah, awesome. I will definitely check this out. I have a buddy who's really into like retro wave music. I've gone to like two, like, I forget what they're called. I'll screw it up, but they're like retro wave parties and stuff. I've been to two of them with a buddy of mine, the co-founder of Nimble Notes, actually. He's really into it, so I'll definitely tell him about it, and I think he'll love this. So I'll check this out, folks. If you check this out, go like this Facebook page, New Retro Wave Records. It's at facebook.com/New Retro Wave Official. Definitely check it out, especially if that's the kind of music you're into. I love music, and Kwame is also he used to be a DJ. He's into all kinds of music, so I'm sure he'll love this, and maybe find something he raps to, and like maybe he'll find some stuff he can sample or something like that he's into. So okay, so Underscore says it's not him, he's not on social media. Nice. All right, cool, but I'll check it out though anyhow. So thank you so much for sharing that. I do appreciate that, and I will check it out. And all right, so Ben 2K says, welcome to the Patreon family, no name. Awesome. Yes, we are fam out here. This is true. This is camaraderie. I love it. Ben said, Underscore says, thanks, Ben. Ben says, good night, sleep well. Underscore says, you look familiar, which is interesting. That's funny. Like maybe Ben and Underscore are both in other, both follow other people that they're like in chats with, and maybe he's like seen them before. So I'm guessing that's what's going on there. So Underscore says, good night. Capitalism is the biggest scheme of all time. We see it, we're living it, we know it, and it's showing itself, it's proven itself to be a scheme. And it's just, look at what's happening right now. It's proven itself to be a scheme here, and look at what we're facing right now. Just the greatest depression of all time. Check out my video on that. It's called Make America Great Depression Again. It's on you'll see it on my YouTube video list. It was just a couple of days ago, and I went through a bunch of economic indicators that really highlight how we are in and, just approaching still the greatest economic depression in U.S. history. And so it's definitely something to be aware of. And it's just a failure of capitalism. So we got to recognize this as such and do what we can to overthrow capitalism. And that means building democratic workplaces from the ground up. You got it, and then we can, hopefully fight to get support within the system to help break that, get some of these politicians to build, local regional banks that can then support the worker cooperatives or create worker cooperative banks. If they won't do it, we'll do it ourselves, do what Mondragon did and build our own banking system eventually that's democratically owned and operated by all of the, people that are all of the workers at all of the companies that participate in with that bank. So keeping it going. All right, we did the plug. Underscore says aloha, which also means bye, so not just hello. So I think he's dipping nice. Thank you so much. Again, I just can't thank you enough, Underscores, for signing up. I really appreciate it, and it means so much. And thank you to everyone who does. And I'll give you the shout out and just you have my gratitude, my deepest gratitude. Thank you so much. Kwame says that's the one. Liked and follow. Nice. Kwame says I found them on YouTube too, I think. Dope. Okay, awesome. And then that's what Underscore said. It's not me. I'm not on social media. Okay, cool. Kwame says, in the words of Austin Walker / Waypoint Radio, fuck capitalism, go home. Yes. Yes, I agree. Fuck capitalism too. It's just all the way through. So here we are. If we're approaching 3 hours on the stream now. So if you have any other comments, please drop them in the comments below. I will read them. I see another one from Kwame here. He says, I hear other friends talking about starting things and talking about co-ops, and I love seeing that spread. Wow, that's dope. I love that. And I support that in any way. Cooperation Jackson is a great model for it. That's in Jackson, Mississippi. They got all kinds of political power there that they've grown and economic power that they've developed through a worker cooperative movement. And so if you haven't already, check out Cooperation Jackson. They're a really cool, pull them up here. Oh, I want to keep that up yeah, Cooperation Jackson. So they're just a worker cooperative. You check them out at cooperationjackson.org. And really see, and it's black, it's run, it's started and developed by black folks, and I love it. And it's, it's a real solidarity, movement, and it's beautiful that the multiple businesses, I mean, they've really made a mark already in their community, and it's only growing. So check them out and support them if you can, any way you can. Just, post on social media about them, whatever. Just be aware of them, that these things are going on and they exist and they're there. And it's not, what we're talking about is not like make believe. This stuff exists and we can do this one business at a time, one workplace at a time. We can make change. So yeah, I'm really just thankful for everyone that came to the stream. Let's just, bringing it back to Cori Bush at the end here to wrap it up. I mean, Cori Bush has defeated Lacy Clay Jr. in Missouri's 1st District. This was a long time coming. She ran in 2018. She starred in the movie Knock Down the House alongside AOC, Paula Jean Swearingen, and Amy Vilela, all great candidates who also should all be in Congress. Amy Vilela and Paula Jean Swearingen. Paula Jean Swearingen is running for Senate right now in West Virginia, and she won her primary, so she is going to the general to run against a woman who I'm spacing on her name, but I promise you she is not. I don't know if she's Republican, or I'll find out. We'll talk Paula Jean for sure. And yeah, so if you have any other comments, leave a comment. I'll read them out. But I think that we're approaching the end of the stream here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications if they're not too annoying. And if you can afford it, head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/radical democracy. Drop a few bucks there, and it goes a long way, helps this channel to continue to exist. And I really appreciate it. I'll give you a shout out and we'll be forever grateful for it. So thank you so much to everyone that showed up, engaged, just watched. I appreciate it all. I left my email in the description box below as well. Feel free to reach out to me for any reason, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If What Up America, if you're watching this after, What Up America isn't here, but What Up America sent me some possible logos for the channel, and I want to show those, but I need to scan them in and then pull them up and stuff. And so I'm gonna do it soon on one of these streams. I just gotta get it pulled up and stuff. He actually sent it to me as a digital thing. So I think I can I should be able to pull it up, and when we have another stream where there's enough people, or I'll do a shorter one, or maybe just do a quick clip of a video so that a bunch of people can see it. And I'm still figuring out how to do it, and just kind of vote on it, which ones do we, which one do we like, and do it as a community and do it democratically, because I want to build democracy in this thing. And so, I want to hear voices from the community. So Ben 2K says, thanks for streaming. Have a nice day. See you next time. Thank you so much, Ben. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everyone for being here. We're going to shut down now. But again, I'll be streaming again pretty soon. Kwame and I are going to do a stream in a bit about Blizzard workers, essentially starting a small uprising there and doing some, starting to share wage information and really push back against the employer class. And so I love to see it, and we're going to talk more about it. Kwame is a video game expert as far as I'm concerned. We're both pretty hardcore gamers, but Kwame is, he plays a little bit of everything, where I kind of get stuck on a game here and there. And so, yeah, Kwame just plays everything. He's got a really broad, understanding of not just gaming and video games, but the game industry. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing his thoughts on that. And so I think that you'll love it. So check us out. We'll be live streaming to this channel, and also probably our Raise Fist Media channel that we're creating. So check us out over there as well. We're on YouTube at Raised Fist Media, and also on patreon.com/Raised Fist Media. So Mina Lee says, I'm back at the end real quick. I don't know if it was discussed, but why do you think AOC didn't endorse Cori this time? She didn't endorse Cori this time? Whoa. That's wild. I did not know that, and that would be absurd if she didn't. Lacy Clay is terrible. She better have endorsed AOC. Whoa, that blew my mind. Whoa. I think, wow, that really happened? What? Oh my God. This is what's wrong with becoming a part of it. See, this is discouraging to people. This is part of that political establishment shit where I cannot believe that. Somebody replies and says, copying my reply from a different thread, she sits on a number of committees with Clay, and he's signed on to Medicare for all. Yes, signed on to. The dude does not support those policies. I promise you. He is supporting them in name only. He will not fight for them. And when push comes to shove, this fool will turn his back on that stuff. So that is a joke. And he's only supporting those policies because he knows that he's got Cori Bush running against him. So to not come out and endorse, that's weak. That's real weak, and that bothers me. That's upsetting. I wish that was a letdown by AOC. AOC didn't endorse Cori Bush, which is wild. Because she sits on committees with her opponent, who's a corporatist. That's wild. That's so weak. Yeah, this is the follow on, as Tammy just said. Tammy's here. Tammy says that this is like the Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear incident, and this is it. She has in some ways, that's the problem. And this is why you have to really be amazed by what Bernie Sanders did to be a part of that system for so long. But it also was even Bernie Sanders was affected by this. And ultimately, I think it's why he lost his election, was because of that Joe Biden is my friend bullshit, right? Like, he thinking that Joe Biden was his friend when he's your political enemy right now. He does not believe in anything you believe in. And if you think that these are, the word I was looking for earlier was existential threats. If you really believe that climate change and capitalism are existential threats to this world, then not doing everything you can to fight that is tantamount to, like, I don't know, it's just it's political malpractice. It's ethically, it's morally reprehensible if you do that. But I really believe that in his heart of hearts, Bernie Sanders actually believes that Joe Biden is his friend, because they've sat there on committees together and they work closely together. And the thing is, like, when AOC was pushing for, when she was on the outside, she was talking all kinds of shit about Pelosi, and then she got in there and now she's all Pelosi's mama bear, and now she's over here not endorsing Cori Bush. That's crazy. That's nonsense. Thank you so much, Meanly, for, no, I didn't know. Thank you so much. Meanly says, I thought you knew. No, I didn't know. And I'm like, I just assumed she had, because it was like, that seemed like the most basic, obvious, like, what the hell? And for her to win even without the AOC endorsement, damn, girl, like, that's, you go, sis. Like, good on Cori. Like, that's wild. And shame on AOC for that. Shame on AOC. I love, AOC, she deserves tons of credit. She has shifted the Overton window. She is, she's definitely a fighter for a lot of these issues, but you spend too long in Congress, and it worries me. And that's why I'm like, we have to push from the outside. Electoral politics will not get us all the way there in any way. I don't think you will you will overthrow capitalism through electoral politics. I do not believe is the way to do it. I think that that's going to come through us just fighting from the outside and building grassroots worker cooperatives, socialist enterprises, democratize the enterprise, one person, one vote in the workplace, build democracy in the workplace, and then we can get a democratic political system. But that is shocking to me, and I'm ashamed that I didn't know that, and I'm so thankful for Meanly from France. Shout out to Meanly from France. For dropping knowledge that I don't even know here in America. And these are like the things that I follow, and I can't believe I missed that. So this is why I love having folks in the chat to, just provide this info and keep everyone informed when I miss out. So thank you so much, Meanly, for dropping that knowledge. That's awesome. Ben2K says, oh, Blizzard, soon as in today or tomorrow or something. No, definitely today. we're going to be talking about the Blizzard situation. Kwame, let me know if you can, if you're still here, Kwame, let me know in the comments what time you want to do that. But like, we'll probably get the stream going pretty soon, actually. So definitely today though, Ben 2K, we're going to be talking about Blizzard. We're big gamers. I think Ben might have said that he's a gamer too. And so that will be fun to talk about. I hope you can make it for that, Ben. It'll stream to this channel too, so you'll be able to get you'll see it pop up on this channel. You should get the notification for it. Yeah, Ben 2K is just as surprised as me. He says, "Oh, she didn't even know that." Yep. Yeah, same. Yeah, I think that's shocking. That's shocking. If you know these two, it is. Meanly says you're welcome. Thank you so much, Meanly. That is a great piece of info that we have to like it. It's definitely something to consider. Like, we have to be, these folks that get into Congress, they got to be careful and not ease up. Having Cori Bush in Congress is so much more important than this dude nominally supporting these things. Just like Kamala Harris supported Medicare for all, right? So Kamala Harris, she was a co-sponsor for Medicare for All. Never forget that. Kamala Harris co-sponsored Medicare for All and then turned around and shat upon it as soon as she got the chance. As soon as corporate donors said, "Oh, whoa, what are you saying? You would like to abolish insurance companies?" She said in a debate once. And literally the next day she was out there saying, "Oh, no, they misunderstood me." And one time they asked, would you like to abolish insurance companies, and raise a hand, show of hands? And she raised her hand and she came out and was like, "Oh, I misunderstood the question." You didn't misunderstand no damn question. That question was clear as day. These people will turn their backs on these bills that they co-sponsor in a heartbeat as soon as the election year is over. And let me tell you, this bill isn't getting passed in an election year, okay? This isn't getting passed right now, okay? Medicare for All isn't going to pass right now. It's going to only pass when the Democrats are in power. And I assure you, once they're in power and they're comfortable and they're not worried about, you know, facing a left-wing challenger, and there's only so much Cori Bush can do. If she didn't win this time, I don't know if Cori Bush runs again in 2 years. She's already given us so damn much, you know? So, like, it can't be expected of her to run again. So, like, that bugs me that AOC didn't endorse. Thank you so much for noting that. Saeed Abdur-Rahman says, and I deeply apologize if I mispronounce that. My name's Kamalian and my name will often be mispronounced, and so I know how it can be. I apologize, Saeed, if I'm mispronouncing, but Saeed Abdur-Rahman says, AOC didn't want the race to be about her. You know, I suppose, but like, it needs to be about her. She is the squad. She is representing Medicare for All. I supported her for those reasons, because she was saying, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be, you know, a radical voice in Congress, and I'm going to, you know, and she needed the help to she got endorsed by, well, it was a dual endorsement. It was the worst, like a dual endorsement from Ro Khanna, where he endorsed Joe Crowley, but then people came out and like were outraged when he endorsed Joe Crowley in the race against AOC. All the progressives came out and like, what the hell are you doing? You're a Justice Democrat, and you just endorse the candidate running against a Justice Democrat who is a huge corporatist. Because why? Because they worked on a bill together. Like, you gotta stop playing these damn games. When election rolls around, the gloves need to come off. These people won't hesitate to endorse against a progressive. We need every progressive that has power to endorse in favor of progressive candidates. And so I just don't think AOC has an excuse here. The race needs to be about her. She is the face of this new left-wing insurgency in the party, and Cori Bush is a part of that. And she absolutely should have came out in support of Cori Bush. She should have emphatically endorsed Cori Bush against Lacy Clay. I don't care what committee he's on. I don't care how nominally he supports Medicare for All. I don't care if she's worried about making it about her. You know what? She's a popular politician, and making it about her is probably a good thing. It means that more young voters will recognize, more voters of color, you know, just people are going to stand up and recognize when you get a powerful endorsement like that. So I understand, you know, but like, I still think that she should have done it, whether she was concerned about making it about her or not. I think she needed to make it about her, because it's still, you know, the focus still would have been on Cori Bush at the end of the day and her policies. It's about making about just drawing that clear line and saying, hey, Cori Bush is for my policy. So I like that I like that she at least stayed out of the race, and, you know, she endorsed her opponent. That would have been insane. That would have been absurd. But like, it, you know, staying out, I suppose, was better. But it's also like, like that would rub me the wrong way if I was Cori Bush. But, you know, solidarity now, and like, don't let it, you know, push that aside, because we got more important things to worry about now. Obviously, we got to fight for substantive rights for people at this point. But so you can't hold a grudge. But okay, so Saeed said, Ben 2K says, yeah, I'm kind of a game or two. Maybe I can catch it, but not sure. Have to do some things first. It's after 5 p.m. here. Yeah, so I'm out for now, but maybe be back later. Have a nice day. Okay, thank you, Ben, so much for being there. You can always watch it after the fact, but I really, you know, I hope the timing works out that you can be there to engage, because I really would love to hear what you think about that whole issue, the situation. I think that would be really cool to hear your thoughts on that. So if you don't get to watch it live, please please check it out after and drop me some comments about what you think about it, because I'd love to hear what you think about that situation, and I think we'll be pretty aligned on that. But I would love to hear from more gamers / leftists on it, because, you know, I think we're growing, you know, like there's also like an insurgency of like left-wing, you know, like politics in gaming and in the tech industry right now. I think we're starting to see some sort of labor movement starting to push up. People are trying to unionize in the tech industry, and I think that's really, I'm out of the tech industry. I mean, right now it's the gaming industry that's kind of leading the charge, but I think largely in the tech industry, people are waking up to that. I'm a big supporter of unions, and I was definitely fighting for that kind of you know, labor movements when I was working directly in it. I'm right out of the game right now. No pun intended. Ha ha ha. But Saeed Abdurrahman says, you got the name right. Yes, thank you. Awesome. AOC and Cori Bush are Justice Dems. Exactly. AOC and Cori Bush are both Justice Democrats, which means the only pledge you have to make as a Justice Democrat is that you will not take any money from corporations. So you just, no corporate funding, earning your money, raising money through the grassroots funding. And so people respond to their donors. When you make your donors the mass of people, then you will respond to the masses of people. If you make your donors a handful of wealthy people, then you will respond to a handful of wealthy people, and you will set policy that favors that handful of wealthy people. So Justice Democrats are going to support policies that favor the masses of people, and that's just been proven out across the board at this point. And I love folks like Ilhan Omar speaking out righteously with righteous indignance about things like the injustice in Palestine, the Israeli occupation and apartheid state that's being implemented in Palestine, and speaking out for Palestinian rights. Rashida Tlaib is the first Palestinian American congresswoman. It's a lot, but that's huge. She's her grandma is I believe, or her mother or grandmother, I believe, either lives or lived her entire life in Palestine, and so she has she's directly connected to this, and Palestinians are humans, and they Palestinians deserve full human rights. And so I plan to do a lot on this channel to talk about foreign policy. I am a huge listener and student of Michael Brooks, who is a internationalist leftist who passed away recently, unfortunately. It was my first live stream was right after he passed away, is what inspired me to get out there and start doing these live streams like this. And so yeah, I believe in carrying that mantle forward, carrying that torch forward, because we lost his voice and we need more voices carrying that internationalist perspective forward. And so that's my goal. That's what I plan to do. And so I hope to bring more internationalist politics into the conversation, and just eventually, once we grow big enough, I want to do deep dives on stuff. And he did these illicit histories that were so dope, and I hope they keep them going. He taught me about my own country, Jamaica. The stuff about politics I didn't know about there, and I lived there for 3 years, during my formative high school years, where I was trying to pay attention, and I didn't know all this stuff. And so he taught me stuff about my own country, and so I would love to be able to live up to some percentage of that, because nobody will ever replace. I'm not funny, I'm not as funny as Michael Brooks. I'll never be as funny as Michael Brooks. I will certainly try as I get more comfortable and loosen up a little bit more. I hope to be funnier, but I'll never make it to a Michael Brooks level. The dude was amazing, and he just brought together humor and radical left-wing politics, true left-wing politics in a global left-wing ideology and framing into the conversation that I hope to carry forward. And so Saeed Abdurrahman says, we will have a Justice Democrat caucus. Yes, we will. This is Jamal Bowman, with Mondaire Jones going in there. I don't think Mondaire Jones was a Justice Democrat, but he should be. He, based on his policies, he should be. And I'm sure he would join that caucus. So I got to check out Mondaire Jones to see if he was backed by any sort of corporate backing. I don't think he was. He's definitely a left-wing candidate. I doubt any corporations are backing a candidate with policies like that. So Mondaire Jones, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush going in. We could possibly get Paula Jean Swearingen in the general. I wish Charles Booker had gone through. That would have been amazing. But we will absolutely. And we got Rokana, Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, who I voted for. Ayanna Pressley is in my district. Let me tell you, I will warn you, Ayanna Pressley is the weakest of all Justice Democrats. She is the least progressive of all Justice Democrats. I could pull up a video of Ayanna Pressley a couple of years before she got elected, talking about how Medicare for all is a dream, and we need to stop talking about, fantasies are fantasies, and she's just she goes where the wind blows her, and the wind was blowing in a progressive direction. Sure, I'll take it, but just take Ayanna Pressley with a grain of salt. She will fight on racial issues, but not as hard on economic issues. And that's just who she is. That's somebody I voted for. I put her, I helped, I supported, I made a few calls for her, and I donated a bunch. So and I voted for her. So, so I'm telling you, this is a candidate I put there, and so I have an even closer observation on her, and she's just not as progressive as the other candidates. She's the least progressive of the entire caucus, but she's ours nonetheless. So we'll take it for now. Who knows? Someday, magical world, maybe I run for a seat like that if she ever goes to Senate or something like that. Or there's a bunch of other people that need to be taken out in Massachusetts out of Congress. Stephen Lynch. I think Richie Nail, whatever Nail is, Richie Nail, they all need to go. So Saeed says, I enjoy your program. I will happily subscribe. Thumbs up. Thank you so much, Saeed. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. If you can, and you know any other folks that might be interested, please share with them, share the channel, share the video with them, share it on social media, and hit that bell to receive notifications whenever we go live. You can hit that notification bell, and you'll also receive notification whenever we launch a new video. And then if you can, or anyone who can support the channel financially, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. You can see there's a link in the description box below, and it means so much, and it's such a huge I'm deeply grateful for those donations. If you can afford it, please, you or anyone can afford it, drop me a few bucks on Patreon. It will help keep the channel existing and growing. And I can't thank you enough to everyone who signed up earlier on. We got another Patreon subscriber. His name is, we call him no name or underscores, because his name is literally just a few underscores. But I keep saying he. Sorry for if I shouldn't just gender people. I apologize. That we call them underscores or no name, and they have been with us since my first live stream, and huge they always engage in the chat, and now is our Patreon subscriber, and I appreciate it so much, and it really does help this channel to exist. And so if you can afford it, and only if you can afford it, please head over to patreon.com/radicaldemocracy, or find the link in the description box below, and just click that link in that description box below here, and sign up, pledge a few bucks, donate a few bucks a month, and it keeps the show going. We got $20 pledged a month right now, and the goal is to try to get to $100 a month by the end of August, which is a ambitious goal, but it is our goal nonetheless. Because honestly, to get this thing, I live in the Boston area. Rent on average is about for like a 1-bedroom is like, no joke, like $1,300 or $1,400 a month, for like a 1-bedroom around where I live. So like, until the channel is making like $2,000 a month, I'm gonna have to find, I'm gonna have to be working and that sort of stuff. Right now I'm unemployed, but I'm surviving. And so, but that will run out when all this pandemic unemployment assistance runs out. And so this is what we could do with a universal basic income, and it would actually allow people to do things like this and not have to rely on that, and to just be able to just survive and have basic subsistence, and then it wouldn't be so necessary. But unfortunately, that's not the system we live under, and so I have to sit here and ask you to give some of the little that you probably have, and I wish it were different, and I wish I didn't have to ask you for that money, but I do, just to keep this thing going. So if you can afford it, please do so, and it means a lot. Cost of like a cup of coffee a month pretty much goes a really long way. And thank you so much to everyone for being here, and just for keeping the stream going and engaging. And that was really fun, and like, we learned a lot over the course of this stream. I learned some during the course of this stream already. Hope everyone else did. If anyone else has any other comments, please leave them in the comments, in the chat, and I'll read them out before we go here. But I think we're wrapping up here now, so feel free to pop out of the stream, no worries, but stick around for a few more if you want to see, or just drop a comment. Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up now. And again, if you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and just come back and engage and talk, and it's what keeps this thing going and really makes it enjoyable. We had comments from UK, France, Germany, and US today, maybe some other places, but it was really, really just to get that international sort of solidarity feels awesome, and it's what I built this channel for. And so thank you for coming, thank you for being here. And I'll be streaming again later. Like I said, I'm going to be streaming with Kwame on Raise Fist Media, and we're going to be streaming to this channel as well. So you'll see me again soon. Different topic, but I hope you'll come back for that one. Thank you so much to everyone that's here. I see someone just popped in again. If you're just popping in, please do me a favor and like, subscribe. Just hit that like button, smash that like button. I want to see more likes on this stream. I see 60 people viewed it, and only, there we go. Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. So smash that like button and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you all very soon. All right. I think we're going to cut it here. Any more comments? I'll give it a second because we got a bit of a delay. Drop any last comments or we'll end the stream here, folks. Okay. All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much to Saeed and Aminali, some of our new commenters. Oh, also Carlos Jeffers, also new commenter. Thank you so much to everyone that, oh, we had one other new commenter too. I'm sorry, I am spacing on the name off the top of my head. I apologize, but we had one other new commenter. Oh, Elijah7987. So we got 4 new commenters in here, and that was really fun to see. Minali says, hope your channel does well. See you soon. Thank you so much, Minali. I can't wait to see you soon. Can't wait to get more of that French perspective. And thank you so much for being here and for commenting and for giving us that great bit of information at the end there about AOC not endorsing Cori Bush. That was really like wild to me. So really cool. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that liked, subscribed, signed up for the Patreon. You all are why this channel is going and growing. And so I can't thank you enough. I love you all, and I hope to see you all back here soon. All right, I'm going to shut up because I need to, and I'm going to go now, right? I think so. I'll give it a few more seconds. I see 60 playbacks. Great. We got 60 views in here over the course of the stream. That's a really good one. Thank you so much to everyone that was here. I'm just going to let it wind down a little bit here. Any last comments? And then we will go. And you can always just, again, comment, leave a comment below, leave comments. Even if you're not here in the live chat, just leave a comment. I look at every single comment, and I try to respond to everyone that is respondable to. And so, yeah, just leave me comments. I love hearing your thoughts, love hearing your feedback. Any thoughts, feedback, anything. Comment, drop me an email. Email is in the description box below. Patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. Link in the description below. Looking forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you so much for being here. Peace.